It's Sunday, May 18th, an important day in auto racing. Right now, Indy 500 Bump Day has just finished. A rookie has set the pole. NASCAR is doing their all-star race at North Wilkesboro. And the Blazing Pedals ARCA League is live at the virtual Texas Motor Speedway. Welcome, everyone. I am Derrick Watson, sitting next to Emmett Crow. Justin Prince has the night off, and we're live here for 202 laps around this beautiful 1.5 mile facility. Welcome in, everyone. Emmett, welcome in. Excited to be back here at Texas with you.
Yeah, the good thing is I don't have to drive that far. But no, this is a great track. We've seen a lot of great racing here when we did the Sim Racing Truck Series. So I'm really looking forward to a great show tonight here at Texas.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see what's different about that. A couple weeks ago, you and I did the Premier Sim Racing Sim Gaming Expo Truck Series at Texas. Now we'll do Blazing Pedals ARCA Series at the same track. You see the schedule here, 40 and 80 are your two stages tonight, 202 laps. Again, another week off. We've been kind of in this on again, off again schedule for Memorial Day next weekend, kind of the unofficial start to summer. Then it's Rockingham, Lucas Oil, and another off week for Father's Day. And then finally we'll get some racing. And this is a wild schedule. Look at this, Emmett. It's Texas, Rockingham, Lucas Oil, Sonoma, Old Atlanta. Very different set of tracks here.
Yeah, very different indeed. A very diverse looking schedule for sure, and that's going to play a big factor in the championship also.
Yeah, I think it will. Speaking of the championship, let's take a look at the points and see how we line up. Justin Levine, your points leader, 512 points, is going to grow that gap tonight. Dalton Kilroe not in attendance. Dalton is away this weekend. Had some fun. Spent some time at a rock festival, a rock music festival. So he'll be away. Taylor Butcher Benjamin and Mark Arthur will definitely close that gap on Kilroe. I don't think they'll catch him. And then Brian Dees, Brian Zimmerman, John Perkins, Chris Carroll, Cody Gibson, Austin Edstrom on down. Round out your top 10. Let's take a look at that very unique team-based system. Look at this. Two Dudes Racing has 3 points on Emmett. This is a unique system. What they do is they take your average of your best and your worst finisher each week for each team. And whoever has the best average wins a point. So a very unique system. And I think it's kind of cool as it encourages everyone on the team to try their best.
Yeah, it definitely makes the team aspect of motorsports really a key factor with this system. And yeah, that's very interesting for sure, Derrick.
You see there, a bunch of teams have done it once and on there from now. Well, here we are under qualifying. We're about halfway through, maybe a little less than halfway through. Currently 7 cars have been on track already. This right here is Austin Derbyshire. He's going to come out and make his 2 laps at Texas. He's going to come up off track here. Now, Emmett, to walk us through, what are the important keys in your mind to qualifying at Texas?
So there's a lot of important keys. As a lot of people are aware, there is that bump coming out of 3 and 4. And if you hit that bump just right, Derrick, it's going to throw your car, into the wall or into the grass. So watch out for the bumps. There's a lot of speed here through the corners, down the backstretch. I like to run the high line and then kind of diamond the corner, which means I like to run high and then shoot down low and get that car as close to that white line as possible.
Speaking of 3 and 4 here, it's going to come down on 3. You'll see he'll want to get to the bottom of the track. This will help avoid that bump. It won't completely avoid it, but it makes the impact less as he gets up against the wall down through the quad oval. He completes lap number 1, and that's going to put him currently in moved him 5, for Austin Derbyshire. You see the timing and scoring now up on the left side of your screen. And here's going to come down the second lap here. So, Emmett, typically at Texas Summer, you will probably agree this is probably a first lap as your best kind of qualifying run, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be a first lap basis, but you never know. Somebody might gamble and go for that second lap and try to beat it right there. So it'll be interesting for sure.
And we're going now on board with a different car. Going to watch a different car make the lap. This is Brian Zimmerman. Look at that, going 190 miles an hour down to the corner,
Wow.
down about 160. That's a big speed drop there.
Yeah, definitely a big speed drop. And as we see right here, there he goes, getting it as close to that Denton County wall as possible. And then he's going to drop it way down to the bottom and get it right there on that white line, just like I was talking about. And that helps you avoid the bump also, Derrick. That bump can play a big factor from winning the pole to starting mid-pack for sure.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out for him. Brian Zimmerman, you see, look, that took the top of the board. That is a new pole sitter, 29.798, 1,000th of a second over top of Cody Gibson. And right here, look at that speeds down. He's just going to wind it down. He is done. Here's TBB, Taylor Butcher Benjamin. We said he came in tonight third in points. Came in, I believe, about 55 points off of Dalton Kilrow, who's not here. So he's going to try and close that points gap and see what he can make happen in this black and green machine.
He's a pickle, Rick.
He is a pickle Rick, running a little bit higher through the corner, but takes the start-finish line right here, up to about 190, what we're seeing out of everybody else, and gets it back down about 160.
Man, that's an interesting line for sure. He likes to. Looked like he liked to run the middle groove through the turn.
Middle groove through the corner, and also noticed he wasn't really up against the wall like maybe we've seen before in other runs. So we'll see if that scrubs and he speed offs. He comes around the line, riding on board. And there's the line right there. And that's gonna put him mid-pack, I believe, so far. Yep, P6 on the board. I think that not tracking out is going to prove to be something to worry about. Watch it here. Gets closer that time to the wall.
Yeah, here he goes. And then see, he just barrels it down there and gets it. Now he's starting to run that line that we were talking about earlier, Derrick, where you get it right on the white line and then come back on. But now he's running kind of... So he improves us to P5, so he gets a position right there. So
position. Hey, every spot matters, you know. John Perkins now on track. This is his first lap here, and that number 33, that very bright white and blue machine.
Yeah, as we like to say in Texas, we love our Rangers, and great to see that car out there. You know, 2023 world champs. But yeah, that's an awesome looking paint scheme for sure.
Let's see what that awesome paint scheme does for him time-wise, a 29.806. Going to put him up on the board here, up in P5. And look how close that board is, by the way. Not really talked about it yet. Remember, it's 1,000th of a second to first, 4,000th to third, 6,000ths, 8,000ths. P5 is all by that. Never mind, because, wow. Hunter Lagoons just came in and threw it down on the table. He's now almost half a second to the good on the rest of the field.
Yeah, Hunter Lagoons come in here, and I tell you, Mark Arthur last night, I was able to call the race at Atlanta with our good buddy Nolan Rempel, and old Mark Arthur, that car at Atlanta, it's, of course, it being a Cup car, it was an ARCA car. He really liked that bottom line, and that car was so good on the bottom. But here at Texas, it looks like he's trying to run kind of that middle groove, kind of.
It does look that way. Mark, of course, in that bright white and pink machine, the Barbie machine. And bring it on through, riding a little bit close to the line. Kind of waited to diamond it in a little bit. It's a preference in line. We'll see how he comes. Remember, first lap, a 39.74. This time it's going to be quicker. About almost a second. That'll put him up in P9. Well, I want to take a second while qualifying is wrapping up here and see if we can quickly catch up with our, I think it's fair to say, our pole sitter. Let's go ahead and welcome in Hunter Lagoons to the booth. Hunter, we were mid-conversation about how close the field was at 1,000th of a second, and you went in and sort of slapped down that amazing qualifying lap. What do you think you did differently to put that kind of gap on the field?
I saw Sim and Cody, I think. I was like, dang, those two are quick. I was like, I don't know if I can beat that. Luckily, I waited a little bit, let the track cool down, And I saw Zim put down a good lap, but I noticed he missed the bottom there in one, just a little bit, not a whole lot. But I think I was lower in turn one and was able to get the grip there, so I think that's what did it.
All right. Well, listen. Well, good luck tonight. Overall, if we're here at Texas. What's your confidence in yourself at the track?
It's I don't know, just gonna see what happens. Gonna try and stick around all race, hope stay out of the trouble, and we'll see.
All right. Well, fair enough. Well, listen. Good luck tonight. Maybe we'll talk to you later.
Yep. Thank you.
All right. That is your pole sitter. Put him back down with his teammate. Let's go ahead and take a look at tonight's Blazing Pedals starting grid. We just heard from Encounter Lagoons. The number 27 is in P1. P2 is Chris Carroll, only about 0.2 of a second back. Brian Zimmerman, half a second back in P3, part of Five Kings, with Cody Gibson, the Texas native, on the outside, not Cheeto's machine. P5 is Brian Dees, the Pennsylvania native, in the 17. Next to Nicholas Moody in P6. P7, John Perkins, part of Two Dudes Racing, with Taylor Butcherman Benjamin on the outside in P8. P9 is Mark Arthur, part of Two Dudes Racing as well. And that 59 Patriotic Machine of Matthew Kleinschmidt is P10, Emmett.
Yeah, at 11th, that's where we're going to find Trevor Hardman in Team 5 Motorsports, lined up next to Jess Hadley in the number 50 car, sorry. In 13th, we're going to find Austin Derbyshire lined up next to Tanner Marr in the 14th position. And in 15th, we're going to find Rick Thompson and part of that Smead Mafia team lined up next to William Bruton in the 83 and 16th. 17th, we're going to find Joey Neese lining up next to Larry Bell from the Five Kings Motorsports. And then we're going to find Fred Thompson lining up next to Mike Massasingle, part of Blackhawk Motorsports in P20.
Yeah, Mike Massagill is the last on the field. That lets a look top to bottom at your Blazing Pedals starting grid. All 20 drivers lined up here at Texas. Going to be a long race, 202 laps. We're going to go from day to night. We're going to have some fuel mileage to talk about. We're going to have some tire saving to talk about. And we're going to have a lot of time to do it. Well, lots of notes about Texas. This repave has been here about 8 years now. When they went in, they made the corners wider, less banking, made some changes to the track. But for the first time this season, Hunter Lagoons will lead us around here at, I guess we call it New Texas. Well, here we go. Thanks so much for watching in here live on Green Flag TV. Derrick Watson, Emmett Crow, Dustin Ollis down in the booth as the iRacing pace car is about to make that inevitable left turn. It's going to do so right about here. And now it's in the hands of Barney the Flagman. He starts to come through the quad oval. And here live on Green Flag TV, it is Green Flag Racing at Texas. Well, they may have started 2 wide, but it didn't take long for 3 wide to form here at the first lap as it's Chris Carroll, Hunter Lagoons, and Cody Gibson fighting hard for P1. First time by, they're done. And Emmett, we are 3 wide again.
Yeah, and look at the Texas native. Cody Gibson wants to lead this race, up on that high line. He's going to get shuffled up, but look at that. Chris Carroll's going to shoot up in the lead, and he's going to use that draft to take away the lead away from Lagunas.
Yeah, did a great job just getting down to the bottom of the track here. He's going to try to control that run. Look, he's kind of moving back and forth. Some drivers told me pre-race about this could kind of be a bit of a draft fest because they're concerned about the fuel. Well, right now, that's how Chris Carroll is treating it. But here comes Cody Gibson to the outside, out of 2, way up top. Let's see if he can make it work here. Side by side, down the back straight. But I think Gibson's going to get him through 3 and 4.
Yeah, Gibson's going to get him right here on that high side. He's going to be able to get that side draft and be able to pull ahead of him. And he's going to stay up there, which is very odd there, because I think I would, if I get the lead, I'm shooting down low to block, try to cut off that momentum from the 97.
Yeah, Sometimes it's all about what the driver's comfortable with. We'll see that as it goes on. The fastest laps keep moving around. See the top of your screen. Nicholas Moody, the current holder of that fastest lap. But there's a pass at the bottom. Speaking of Nicholas Moody, that's good timing because there he is. Just blew right on by, and he is now taking the lead, and he will lead a lap at Texas.
Yeah, Nicholas Moody, what a move to pull on Cody Gibson. That's what I was watching. When we were riding on board with Cody Gibson, I kept seeing Moody getting closer and closer and closer, and then all of a sudden, and I mean, no wonder he ran the fastest lap. I mean, he was able to just rocket around Gibson for sure.
He's already up 5 spots on the evening. Moody now through the bottom 3 and 4. This is that turn you talked about. We'll focus on it more and more as the night goes on. There's some massive bumps you can hit in that corner that can upset your car. But now for the second time, Moody leads Gibson, Arthur, Carroll, and Lagoons at the line.
Yeah, and we see some great racing further on back. See the 33 of John Perkins taking over. I guess he just lost the position to Matthew Kleinschmidt, so moved Perkins into the number 10 spot and Kleinschmidt into 9th.
Well, speaking of losing, you saw Austin Derbyshire almost lose the car off of 2 there. That car snapped hard to the left. He grabbed a hold of it, so that could have been bad news for Derbyshire. Speaking of Derbyshire, his teammate Justin Levine also not on the grid tonight, so both first and second place in your points not in attendance, so good news for TBB and others on back. That will help them close that points gap. Now let's look at P5. This is Zimmerman, this is Lagoons, this is Brian Dees, and others. Look how hard they're battling.
Yeah, they're definitely battling hard, but look at Hunter Lagoons, our pole sitter. He has dropped, and I don't know what's wrong with that car. Probably just aero stuff, losing that draft and getting past. But yeah, look at here as we see Trevor Harmon going to rocket to the outside and be able to take away the 7th position just for a second, but not long enough. And Lagoon is just trying to take the position back for sure.
Side by side. Boy, that quad oval looks wide from that camera shot. But I'll tell you, man, Emmett, when you are in the car, that quad oval feels just very narrow. And I'm not sure if it's just an optical illusion, but that quad oval feels very wide from our point of view. But in the car, sometimes you get scared going through that thing.
Yeah, you definitely get scared, and that's why we see a lot of guys, they'll run off and they'll hit that. Well, it could cause trouble, but, some guys will hit that grass right there in that quad oval, and if you hit that manhole just right, it'll tear your car completely up.
Yeah, usually after a race at Texas, the groundskeeper is not happy about those clips in the corner because someone has typically come ahead and trimmed that for him. But you saw there, Brian Dees had the fastest lap. He is now back there trying to make a move.
Yeah, and Hunter Lagoons just continues to fall back. He's dropped back, Derrick, 10 spots.
Hey, sometimes that can happen to you, right? Sometimes this may be a case where it's a battle of long run versus short run. We'll see how it turns out. But here's the battle for P2. This is Chris Carroll, Mark Arthur, Brian Dees, and others trying to catch Cody Gibson. One thing that stood out to me so far is we saw a little bit of beating and banging, some bumping back there. We saw Nicholas Moody get a small top from Dees. None of these guys are letting Cody Gibson really pull away.
Yeah, they're not letting Cody Gibson pull away at all. And now we see Chris Carroll. Chris was challenging Cody those first few laps, and if he can get away from Arthur and actually pull away from him, then maybe we can see Chris Carroll try to catch up there and battle with Cody Gibson for the lead for sure.
See him on board here from Trevor Harmon. He's now to the bottom. He's got the 17 of D's behind him. Beautiful camera work here at Texas. And of course, it's been a very busy week. We said in the opening of racing, Emmett, not just in real racing, but also in iRacing. Of course, the Indy 500s happened. The open format happened this weekend. The fixed Indy 500s were last weekend. It's been a very busy week of iRacing for a lot of competitors.
Yeah, it's definitely been very busy. And, even in like Green Flag TV, we've been busy, bringing these great fans coverage of different kinds of motorsports, and we're ready to keep it rolling next week too.
Yep. Speaking of Brian Dees, by the way, I want to point out, won an Indy 500 last weekend, told me he won the fixed setup Indy 500 by 5 thousandths of a second. So first off,
Wow.
congrats to Brian Dees. That's amazing to win an Indy 500. It's even better when you win it that way.
I wonder, do you think that after he won, he went into his fridge and got the gallon of milk?
You have to.
And
Absolutely,
I
you
was
have
about
to.
to say,
Yes.
I was going to say, you have to.
Yep, you have to. Absolutely. Running on board here, I believe this is with Trevor Harmon still. We now see Brian Dees straight ahead. Dees has now gotten ahead here, and they have a car between them here. That is Nicholas Moody on the inside in the 60.
Yeah, and just to touch with that Indy 500 celebration, don't take pictures, folks. If you see him out there kissing his driveway.
Oh. I know for our team, when we in our Discord, it's a rule. If you win a 500, you have to get we require videos of drinking the milk. So every group, every team has their own rules. But yeah, that's a pretty awesome thing. So congrats to him. Taylor Butcher Benjamin's in the field. He said he won one a couple years ago. So lots of Indy 500 winners in this group. The special events maybe don't often get talked about in these league broadcasts, Emmett, but still, it's always special to a driver. What's a Daytona 500, a Daytona 24, a Majors 24. No matter what it is, it's always special moments for these drivers.
Well, Derrick, you had a very cool team building event Thursday night at Charlotte, which was very awesome, and I was fortunate to be a part of, and that was a great night for sure.
Yeah, a really fun run. You can catch the VOD replay here on Green Flag TV's YouTube page, and you can see that all-star qualifying event. But these guys right now are racing like all-stars at a track that once hosted the all-star race in Texas. Look at this here. This is still Harmon and others side by side. There's the 59. There's the 76. These guys are racing as hard as they can. This is Kleinschmidt. This is Rick Thompson. This is Trevor Harmon. And no one's giving an inch.
Yeah, no one's giving an inch. And one cool thing about Texas, my wife, actually took her to her first race. It was that the All-Star race when Larson passed Keselowski to win on the last lap. So really cool moments at Texas for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of great memories at Texas and a lot of awesome moments. And some drivers tonight are looking to make more of those memories as they're still green flag on the lap 19 coming to 20. Now, something to keep in mind, Emmett, the word I got from the drivers is if you stay green in a run, we're talking about fuel mileage. Let's watch this first. A little bit of grass mowing right there. What you talked about earlier, that's Fred Thompson. So if we stay green, the concern across the field, Emmett, is the fuel tank is about 38 to 39 laps. Now, here's some drivers like the 59 and Kleinschmidt who are now basically riding behind and drafting. Mm-hmm. So maybe he's trying to eke out that lap. Remember, the first stage ends at 40, but some drivers may have a problem here.
Yeah, some drivers may have a problem. And, we're going to say first, our leader, Cody Gibson, he's running that lead with all that clean air, and he has no drafting help. So, yeah, definitely burning the fuel. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Well, speaking of Cody Gibson, he just got past the lead. Chris Carroll went ahead, took a lead. Now, that was an interesting move because you almost kind of wonder with the gap we saw there on the pass. You almost kind of wonder, did Cody Gibson get past, or did he let someone by so he could draft? There's our first lapped car. That's, I believe, Fred Thompson up top. Here's the pass. Watch this. That's way up top in the corner. I think that's lifting to let someone by. He may be concerned about fuel mileage.
Yeah, I definitely think that's what it is, Derrick. And as you get, the way that car got up in the groove up there, definitely let Carroll take the lead. And now he gets to draft, and Carroll gets to play in that clean air. So it's going to be interesting.
Very interesting of the timing, Emmett, because they did it on lap 20-21. So you now think that seems like it was planned, right? If you do it halfway through a run, kind of feels kind of coincidental, right?
Yeah, but now we see Brian Dees trying to pass Cody Gibson for the second position. So could that top line, Cody's trying to run that top line, but I don't know if that top line's got grip, and that's what might be costing him. I don't know. That's a tough decision for sure.
Well, if it doesn't have grip, they've got about another 200-ish laps to put some grip
Mhm.
up there.
Yeah.
And with this iRacing system now, you can put rubber down on the track as the night goes on. So we'll see how that plays out. And of course, this track will only get faster as the night goes on, more than likely, when the temperatures cool across the track. But look at this. We talk about fuel saving, you talk about being conservative, but there's still lots of racing back through the field.
Yeah, there's some great racing as we see Brian Dees taking over the second position from Cody Gibson for the moment at the line.
He's looking to complete the pass here. Not going to get it all the way. They'll be side by side down the back straight. And in a way, this is good news for Chris Carroll. It creates that bit of a gap if that's what he wants. And now Dees will probably finish the pass right about here.
Yeah, he's going to cut off. He didn't really cut off his nose. He was just able to get in front of him, and cut off the momentum that Gibson would have had to try a crossover. So, yeah, Brian Dees, earlier ran that fastest lap of the race so far, but he's really picking up on the speed, and he might be able to challenge Carroll before too long, Derek.
You talked about fastest laps earlier. You talked about Brian Dees in second. 29.851 is his fastest lap across the board, up and down. Roughly, we're talking about a 1 second fall off in the tires since that moment. Everyone is about 1 second off of their fastest lap. The leader fastest at 29.977 was Chris Carroll. He's now at 30.626. So up and down the board, we're seeing those cars slow down a little bit.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, this battle back here is really picking up with all these drivers. We ride on board of the Team America 60-foot machine of Nicholas Moody, trying to pass the 10 of TBB. And then John Perkins. Got a little smoke there. Derek might have had a little contact from somebody.
Yeah, it would appear that way because that was way too low for it to look like it came off the wall. So we'll wait and see if we can figure out what exactly the source of that smoke was. But our first real hint of any kind of contact tonight that I could think of, as we're right on board with Nicholas Moody and see how he does. I mean, he does a great job of getting up against that wall and feeling comfortable. And that's something that, as an iRacer, really comes with experience, right? That comfort of getting up against the wall. That's not something typically most people do day one of sim racing.
Yeah, definitely they don't. As we got 3-wide battle going on between Derbyshire and Kleinschmidt and TBB for the moment, but now they fan out a little bit.
It's another battle. That's Rick Thompson. That's Trevor Harmon.
Wow.
I see the highlight there in red on your ticker. That's 4th through 12th you're looking at. Well, someone said this is a fuel mileage race. I don't think these guys know that based on the way they're racing.
Yeah, for sure. The way they're racing like it's the last lap, and we ain't even almost to the end of stage 1 yet. So great racing, though, from these guys for sure.
Now, if you think about this, if you are TBB, if you are Mark Arthur, if you are someone who found yourself towards the top of the points, knowing that both first and second place aren't here, are you, in your mind, would you be more worried about points? For example, would you be more worried about stage points tonight, knowing that you're going to gain ground on both first and second place? Or do you just want to win this race, do you think?
That's a good question. I think that you can't tell a race car driver just go out and don't win, just have a good points race. But I mean, because they are always going to have that mindset of winning. But yeah, you got to look at the bigger picture. If you're fighting for that championship, don't throw yourself in a spot where you can't dig yourself out of a hole. So that's a really good point about, I'd have a good points race over trying to, go for the win or anything.
Yeah. I wonder if that's in the mind of some drivers tonight. Now we're watching Dustin Derbyshire. Watch this here. Up top. Blue. And there's the wall.
Man.
Overall, not the worst thing that could have happened, but there it was in that quad over where you and I talked about. I think this gets pretty narrow pretty fast, and Derbyshire found the limit.
Yeah, and I've been noticing. I was looking at the intervals between first through third, and it was funny because Carroll was picking up, 4 tenths, but then he shut down to about 2 tenths, but now he picks it back up to 4 tenths. So it's really interesting for sure. And then I looked up and I was like, oh, this is why the top two, these Brian Dees and Cody Gibson, are actually catching up to Chris Carroll, and he's not able to drive away from him for sure.
Yeah, and the question will be, of course, in what way is that happening? We'll watch that as the night goes on. Trevor Harmon here back in 7th, by the way. He's got cars too wide ahead of him. And look at that glare, by the way. You saw that awesome shot from the glare from the windshield. That's what the driver's going to deal with here in the first stage. Now, as the night goes on, the sun's going to set, and eventually the lights will be on. But right now, when you're coming out of turn 4, that glare can make things difficult.
Yeah, it definitely can make things difficult. And that's why if I was, I'd either be wearing, we used to see Kurt Busch wear the amber color visor, or I'd be wearing a dark visor. Because, yeah, that sun can play a big factor in your eyesight for sure.
Yeah, one of the most commonly requested features I hear from friends across iRacing is the different visors. Right now we don't have that option, so we'll see. A couple years ago we got the different muffled audio for the driver's helmet. You can kind of get that, like the open ear sound or different things you saw. Woo! Nothing muffled about that. Mark Arthur just made contact with your pole sitter, Hunter Lagoons. And everyone is okay. All the cars are settled. Everyone's back to normal. Just a small tap, if you will.
Yeah, I think Rick Thompson, looking at that machine, that is a slick looking wrap he's got on with the Speed Mafia theme, staying true to it with the Mafia, the mob on there. So great looking ride for Rick Thompson for sure.
A wrap. Listen to you. They got you really integrated into the road course stuff already. We're here on Green Flag TV. A wrap. It's a paint scheme. Pro, a wrap. What is that nonsense? Looking on back from Mark Arthur. This is back through P4. You see he's now got Rick Thompson, who Emmett just mentioned, is trying to run him down. I'm not convinced he's trying to run him down, though. That's that weird. It's in my head. I mean, Rick just kind of got there and then backed off. Remember, we think some drivers could be out of gas on lap 39. So our driver's backing off to maybe avoid that. We'll find out here in a few moments. Up there goes Rick to the outside. See, he backs it off again. It's like he gets there and then rethinks it.
Yeah, I think he might be hitting the clutch just ever so slightly, through the corner. And last night in the NAS Classic race, that's what we saw a lot of with these cars. So the way these cars act when fuel mileage is the issue is very interesting. You can run the clutch through the
lap 40 is the end of 40 is our yellow flag. So we're going to come around here and start lap 40 with the leaders. And we'll come back around. The stage will end. The caution will be out. Let's see if everyone has the gas. Now the question here, not only do you have the gas to make this stage, I wonder if people have the gas to then make it back around to pit road.
Yeah, that'll be interesting for sure. And it looks like Cody Gibson might have. Is he out?
Yeah, that's a slow car.
They're out of gas.
Might be out of gas. Getting hit from behind. Contact. There's a blow. That looks like a blown motor from someone. Caution.
Oh, man.
Brian Dees, I think, has some damage that has to be looked at or maybe done. Stage 1 is finished. There's Nicholas Moody. Slow, lots to recap here in this first stage, Emmett. But caution is out. The caution is going to be out because of the stage end. The contact doesn't help it. But yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely going to... What just happened?
Let's take a look and see what's going to be the cause of the caution. Here's Brian Dees. Oh, there's contact in the wall. Oh, my gosh. That's Cody Gibson, Brian Dees.
Did he right rear him?
Well, I had to get a different look. And then is Dees... So Gibson's slow after this. And he gets in someone in the back end of him. That's that red car back there with the Grid Vision logo. Wow.
Wow.
Well,
It
Chris
looked-
Carroll is your stage leader and your stage winner.
Yeah.
Let's
Here
watch
we
this
go.
one more time. This is the look you were looking for.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, he did tapping, but at least he didn't right rearing. I think it looked like Brian Dees just got a little loose and got arrow loose, and he checked up, and when he checked up, Gibson didn't see it, and that's why he bumped him and went around.
So lots of black flags here. These are all going to get fixed by race control. What's happening here is that, unfortunately, I think some drivers were not able to get around, and so some drivers by iRacing are considered to be passing under yellow. It's all been fixed, so we can ignore those. Let's watch the pit stops here. Watch the times on the right side, Emmett. These should be about 14, 15-second pit stops if all goes well.
Yeah.
Oh, much faster.
Wow.
Well, it appears like we're going to start the second stage the same way we started the first one, with Hunter Lagoon leading, or right behind the pace car, pardon me. Well, under stage one, let's go ahead and take a moment tonight and thank our sponsor for this race for their support of the Blazing Pedals ARCA League, and that is Ohio and Indiana Roofing. Ohio and Indiana Roofing is a premier roofing contractor. They are a sister company to the Bruns Construction Enterprise, and they specialize in commercial and industrial roofing, and they are committed to accommodating the unique needs of each client and offering a creative solution to meet those needs. They are a team of individuals who work for the same common goals: professionalism, quality, and service. The services they offer include preventative maintenance, re-roofing, new construction, infrared scanners, green roof solutions, metal, retrofitting, emergency repair services, and more. Please take a moment and visit www.oiroofing.com for more information. Well, again, thank you to our sponsor for helping provide the coverage you're seeing here tonight. We're already too wide racing. Now, Emmett, last time Hunter Lagoons did not have a great time leading the field to the green. Let's see what happens this time.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, and I'm going to keep my eye on Mark Arthur. Mark looked good last night at Atlanta. Knows how to drive these cars on these 1.5 miles. So look out for Mark Arthur to put that Barbie machine in the lead.
By the way, that red car we saw hit the back of Cody Gibson at the end of the stage. That was Matthew Kleinschmidt, for the record. So I would think this time by now, with a couple caution laps ticking off here, Emmett, we're going to go green right around lap 45. So I would think, we're watching Cody Gibson here, by the way. Quick note, Cody Gibson, very slow and had to tow the rest of the way. That'll be a time penalty he doesn't want to eat. But with us starting on 45 here, the pace car is going to come down. I think fuel mileage might be better this time. But let's find out. For the second time tonight, the pace car pulls down. For the second time tonight, Hunter Lagoon will take the green flag. Well, Emmett, this feels different. Hunter Lagoons this time able to keep Chris Carroll behind him so far, and a better restart this time than it was the first time.
Yeah, definitely a better restart for Lagoons, and yeah, really able to keep Carroll behind him. But look at Rick Thompson up there, Derrick. He's coming, and look at the 29 machine of Trevor Harmon. He's going to shoot to the outside, trying to get alongside and battle with Carroll for the second position.
Doing a great job as his whole field. Trevor Harmon's going to try and get a better run, and he will off that corner. Now gets up here almost side by side with the 27. Doing a great job, and now more cars coming in. For the first time tonight, that pink, magenta, black car comes to the lead and will lead a lap at Texas.
Yeah, I wonder if Harmon has a deal with Victory Fuel for every lap he leads. Do we get a free case of Victory Fuel?
Anything free. If it's free, it's for me. So let's find out. Free pizza, free food, free wings, free gas, free anything. I don't care what it is. Free napkins. Free makes it better.
Yeah. I tell you though, Derrick, Lagoons, he's had that strong restart, but now he's starting to drop as he loses 2 more positions. Unbelievable.
Yeah, you know what?
Carroll,
And I'm
too.
curious to see what happens. I mean, we'll see how this works out. Something we can start to talk about a little bit is some drivers love the long runs, some drivers love the short runs, and I just wonder maybe if Lagoon is happier in long runs. Remember, he kind of crept his way back to the front as the race went on, so we'll see if he can make something positive happen. You see there on the side of your screen, there's the number of laps led. You see this is now Trevor Harmon's third. You see how many different drivers have led a lap tonight, and there's been a few of them, including Nicholas Moody back down to 16.
Yeah, Nicholas Moody put that Team America 60 machine out in the lead, and there's been, definitely been a lot of leaders tonight for sure early on.
Unfortunately, Cody Gibson being scored 3 laps down. We saw him have the troubles on pit road under caution. He led a good number of laps in the first stage, and likely 3 laps down, probably won't lead anymore. But here is more passing going on. You see Mark Arthur now, the cars in front of him.
Yeah, it's going to be
That's Tanner Marr and William Bruton up ahead of him.
Yeah, look at Bruton and Marr battling for the 9th position. This is definitely going to be crazy. I think he's saving Derrick.
Yeah, I was going to say, interesting to think about that. But I talked about with us starting on lap 45. I didn't think the field would be as big of a concern on the second run as it was the first, because you kind of get those, not free laps. You do burn a bit of gas under caution, right? But on average, everyone kind of says 2-to-1 ratio, right? So, 2 caution laps to 1 green flag lap. But Mark Arthur doesn't want to risk it. I mean, you see right there, look at the speeds drop. Look at everything about that car. You're right. I just listening to it here. In fact, let's go through this next corner. Let's crank the audio a bit, and let's listen to this in. Yeah, hard hit ahead. Well, never mind. He got me there. I said let's listen, and he went ahead and didn't clutch it. So that's thanks for the cooperation, Mark Arthur.
Yeah, he's definitely hard on the clutch.
Yeah, hear that lack of motor. And by the way, that's interesting. We can talk about that too. These corners are not equal. By the way, everyone kind of thinks of these cookie cutter tracks as kind of being very generic, very template, very what have you. But these corners 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 are not equal. So that's why you're able to maybe to clutch one and not the other. But here's a battle for second. This is Derbyshire. This is Rick Thompson. This is TBB, and they're fighting hard.
Yeah, and I wonder if as they come across the lap machine of Cody Gibson, I wonder if they made an adjustment on Austin Derbyshire's car, because that thing was wicked loose through the corners, and it looks like it's not as loose as it used to be. So that's something to wonder, Derrick, for sure, if they made an adjustment.
Yeah, well, no adjustments able to be made here in the fixed setup league. But what could happen is the tires may be getting warmed up, a different line, maybe a different brake bias. Some of the small things he can go ahead and touch on and make that happen. Let's go ahead for a second here under green, though, and let's talk to one of the individuals that was caught up in that incident under the last year. Get my screens ready. Sorry, I'm dramatic pausing for a reason. Let's go ahead and catch up with, Brian Dees was around here, I thought. Did you leave me? No, there he is. Let's go ahead and bring Brian Dees on in to the booth, and let's talk with him and kind of get his perspective of what happened. So, while he may have had a great Indy 500 run, Brian, not the run you wanted tonight, probably.
Started off pretty good. I was feeling pretty good running up there, trying to reel in the leader, Chris, there. I think I had the pace. Might have had something for him. I was still kind of learning. But Kind of got caught in his dirty air a couple of times and on the exit of 2 and drifted out, hit the wall. So, like I said, was still learning a little bit. And then the end of the stage there, saw Cody get the run. I think it was probably more of a racing incident. I think he had the run, and I wasn't sure if he was going to go high or low. Kind of got caught in the middle. I didn't go all the way to the wall, and he kind of just got into the back of me, and I kind of didn't really give him a whole lot of choice in it. So I
So
probably
as we were-
put that at about 50-50.
Sorry, as we were coming around, I do have to ask, if that had gone all the way around, were you good on gas?
Oh yeah,
Okay. It kind of felt like
yeah.
maybe
I was good.
weren't there.
I was saving early in the run there just to make sure I had enough to get to the end of the stage, and then obviously make it back around for the caution laps, get back to the pits. So yeah, I was definitely good.
Well, as I said, not the run you wanted today, but I want to give you a second to kind of talk about yourself, brag about yourself, promote yourself, however you want to say it. Tell everyone about your Indy 500. You told me earlier. Talk about it.
Yeah, that was pretty fun. That was last week, the fixed version. Kind of got a run coming to the line off of 4 at the checkered flag and edged them out by, I think I won by 0.005. So what is that, 5 thousandths of a second?
Of a second, yeah.
Now let me ask you this, Brian. Did you go into the fridge and did you grab you a gallon of milk and just chug the gallon right out of the gallon?
Dumped it all over myself, no doubt.
Now the second question, though, is every Indy 500 winner gets to pick a type of milk, right? You see it on the, it was kept to the 500 day, we see the list come out, 2% milk, skim milk. A couple drivers always pick chocolate milk. If you could have picked, what milk would you have picked for yourself?
I go classic whole milk.
Classic whole milk. Well, Brian, unfortunately, not the best run tonight. Hopefully, we'll see you, I guess, 2 weeks. We're off next week for Memorial Day, and we're back at Rockingham.
Yeah, maybe tomorrow night on Green Flag TV as well. So
Part of the High Tide Racing League with Nolan Rimple and Austin Edstrom. So we'll see you then. Have a good night, and we'll talk to you soon.
appreciate it, guys. Have a good night.
That is Brian Dees, unfortunately caught up in that wreck at the end of the stage. Well, as we've been talking, this battle is not going anywhere. Austin Derbyshire still watching TBB and Rick Thompson. Now, good news, bad news. Good news, they're battling for second. Bad news, Trevor Harmon has pulled away to about 1.5 seconds.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Derrick. These cars are battling right. Harmon is able to save if he's having to save because there's no one near him in his zip code. So that might play a factor with Thompson and TBB and Derbyshire as these guys are going hard for the second position for sure.
Yeah, I was wondering about that in my head. It's a valid point you brought up. I began to wonder, man, Trevor Harmon's 1.5 seconds ahead. I'd begin to wonder why not back it up to 1 second. Why not give yourself that little cushion? So maybe he is saving. We'll wait and see. But here's Austin Derbyshire, the Canadian, part of One Sim, is trying his best here to put in a great performance. Of course, as we said, his One Sim teammate, Justin Levine, not here. Another teammate, Matthew Kleinschmidt, involved in that wreck at the end of the first stage. And by all accounts, I saw that big puff of gray smoke. I'm pretty sure that's going to be a blown motor for Kleinschmidt, although he is off a pit road, so maybe it was a little better than that. But still big damage for Kleinschmidt.
Yeah, Kleinschmidt, but looking at it, he's only a lap down, and he's the first car lap down. So, I mean, he could get this lap back if we have a caution or at the end of the stage for sure.
End of the stage for sure. You're right. I just saw the big puff of smoke and assumed, and then I looked over at timing and scoring and saw what you saw of only one lap down. There's 4 cars not on the lead lap. That's Kleinschmidt, Fred Thompson, both 1 lap down. Then I got Cody Gibson 4 laps down, and then Brian Dees, who we just talked to, 23 laps down. So still 16 cars on the lead lap live here at Texas. And remember, we're a good way through this stage. We're already on lap 66. We go to 80, and we're done with stage 2.
Yeah, and that's another 40 laps. So fuel, fuel, fuel. Save, save, save is what I'm preaching if we're going to be close. Because that's the thing. You can do all the math in your head and everything, and then use the calculator, everything, but it's never going to add up to what actually happens on the track for sure.
By the way, look at the track conditions. 92 degrees Fahrenheit is your track temperature. And this is right now 7:20 p.m. virtual sim time. You see not much movement in the track temps yet. But as I said, this race is going to go long enough, Emmett, that the lights are going to come on. And that will mean the track will cool off.
Yeah, track gets cooler. Tires get warmer. More grip put down. This is going to be an exciting... when we get to that final stage, that's going to be the best stage of the race, probably. I mean, this has been some great racing so far, but folks, y'all better be ready for that last stage because it's going to be a good show for sure.
I mean, a great show, I think, is what's going to be. So here's a battle right now, speaking of good shows. And this is most position gained in the bottom right of your screen. Rick Thompson's up 13 spots, as is Massengill. And you see different there. Unfortunately for some, Nicholas Moody still in the lead lap is down 10 spots. Brian Zimmerman's down 12 of the cars in the lead lap. Those are the ones down the most. And speaking of up spots, Brian Zimmerman, you see third on the list, but he has P1. Sorry, that's Trevor Harmon. Sorry, I said the wrong name. Trevor Harmon is up top 10 spots. So great news for Harmon here. Working now lap 70. And look at this great 4-car battle here. And they're still not perfectly in line. So I don't know how much fuel saving we're doing here.
Yeah, but shout out to Massengill for, I mean, ever since this dude started dead last, and here he is sitting in 8th position, so great run for that team, but I don't know, it's going to be interesting to see who has to save and who doesn't, and who gambles.
Yeah, that'll be the question. I agree, because I don't think the saving is as important in stage 2 with those extra caution laps we ran. So we'll wait and see here. But here's Mike Massengill. We're going to ride on board for a couple of laps, and we'll see. Remember, this is the driver currently up the most spots.
Man, hard
on
hit
the track, and there's a wall. Hello.
That's a tire
off the wall. It's going to be a caution, I'm pretty sure. Yep, there it is. Oh,
wow.
My goodness,
wow.
Mike Massengill brought the caution out. That, I don't know what happened. That's really weird. I don't know. I almost wonder. We'll wait and see. I almost wonder if it's the connection problem with the car stuck up there. I mean, because there's no attempt to pull that off the wall. It could be a broken tire, but I'm not sure. We'll wait and find out. Well, Trevor Harmon's going to lead us around, and we are not done with the stage. Watch on board here. Boy, oh boy.
Yeah, that's a hardware issue. Did you see the wheel just turn to the right?
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking it might be a connection or a hardware problem, right? Because that's a good indication of that moment. Well, here we are now under caution. Remember, we're not done, Emmett. We're going to go and get the green flag. Trevor Harmon's going to try and see if he can defend this spot and win this stage.
Looks like
let's
Harmon's
do this.
Coming in.
Oh,
sorry.
Yes, Harmon. This would be a great time for some people to pit in. If you're scared about gas, I mean, the caution itself, you would think, would help you. Is that Derbyshire? Derbyshire just faked out the field or tried to. Fred Thompson came down. He does not want to be scared on gas. Also, look at that. Mark Arthur came down. Cody Gibson came down. So a couple drivers here are going to come down and put gas in. Jess Hadley's in for pits. Well, let's do this. Let's take a moment here, and I want to catch up with a driver. Let's see if we can talk with Austin Derbyshire. And see if we can catch up with him, see how he's feeling about the race as we stand coming to the segment here, coming to the stage. Austin Derbyshire, welcome to the booth here on Green Flag TV. Were you actually thinking about pitting, or were you just trying to fake out the field?
I was just trying to fake out the field. No attention at all.
I'm not sure how much it worked. I'm not sure. Maybe people thought they were going to pit anyways. But, well, now you're going to line up here fourth with a few laps to go to catch Trevor and the rest of the field for the stage win. What's the plan?
I try not to die. I think a lot of guys behind were probably saving a little bit, so they might have better tires. So I'm a little worried about that, but we'll see when we go green here next lap.
All right. Well, good luck. Maybe we'll talk to you again at the end of the stage, and good luck in that grid vision machine.
Thank you.
All right, that is Austin Derbyshire, and he says he had no intent on pitting, Emmett. I'm not sure if I'm fully bought into that, for the record.
I think we see a lot of drivers, I mean, even in real life, do that a lot. So I think he was trying to fake out the field, and it worked. I mean, definitely pulled the old switcheroo, and now he's lined up P4. So no positions lost, no positions gained. But yeah, great move from Mr. Derbyshire.
Well, here we go. On a few laps shootout, we're going to go green on lap 76. We're going to go to the end of lap 80 unless there's another caution that comes out. So Trevor Harmon needs to defend this front row from Rick Thompson, TBB, Derbyshire, John Perkins, and others. Important number P13. That's Mark Arthur. That is the first driver who pitted. Could he go from 13th to take the stage win? It might seem improbable, but it's not impossible.
Yeah, and he's going to be on fresh tires. And also, he's got enough gas to go the distance. So, a lot of these guys, if they run out, yeah, he's just going to pass them standing still like they're a bunch of ducks sitting on a pond. So, be interesting for sure to see if that plays out.
Well, here we go. Pace car is going to pull down. You would think everyone now would be calm about gas because that extra caution lap or two should help you out. But Trevor Harmon in that magenta and black machine takes the green flag at Texas and gets a good jump.
He got a great jump right here, but I don't know if...
Look, there's Derbyshire up top.
Wow. Yeah, Lagoons battling with...
This is Mark Arthur live. This is that spot you talked about, Emmett. This is P13. This is the first driver that took tires. So we're going to see what kind of moves he can make in these couple of laps.
Oh, man.
Yeah, in the bottom right of your screen, you saw some bumping for P2 Emmett. In the top of your screen, you saw some smoke from a wall hit. So lots going on.
He is gaining a little bit, but I mean, with 3 laps to go, 3 laps to go, is he going to have enough?
Well, watch Arthur, top of your screen. He's now going to dig inside the 4. He's now going to get a pass on Tanner Marr. Does he get enough to get stage points? I mean, that's the question. Maybe it's not a stage win he's aiming for. He is in P10. That's a stage point. Let's see what he pulls off the next couple laps here.
Yeah, is he going to send it? Well, we got a battle for the lead between Thompson and Harmon.
Yeah, we'll flip the screens around. Now the top of your screen is the leader. That is Trevor Harmon, Rick Thompson right on behind him. TBB now, remember, came in tonight 3rd in points. He wants to see if he can make a move here. Now here we go, starting lap 79. This would be 2 laps to go. Remember, we're lap 70 and lap 80. Into lap 80, the caution comes out. Here comes the move for Thompson.
Drag race down the backstretch. Are they going to have enough, Derrick? And here comes TBB. He wants in on this party as we come down to the line.
Yeah, they get side by side. They're going to let Butcher Benjamin in on this battle.
Oh, man. Oh,
Harmon. 1 lap to go. Last lap in the stage. Right now, it's Rick Thompson in the lead. TBB has moved in the second after the wall hit from Harmon. Now we got a new car in third. That's John Perkins. So he's doing a great job.
Yeah, Perkins support wearing the Ranger colors. What would it mean for him to win here in that awesome paint scheme for sure?
Well, we'll wait and find out later because right now the win in this stage goes to Rick Thompson at the end of stage number 2.
Yeah, it just seemed like TBB just couldn't get enough around him anywhere. And just I guess he just decided, second's good. You get 9 points, so he'll take his 9 playoff points. And wow, looking at this pylon, Derrick, it looks like Mark Arthur did not get stage points. That's unbelievable because he was sitting in P10.
Yeah, a little bit surprised, right? So, unfortunately, did not get there. So we'll see what that plays out later. It may mean that what happens is they take the lead when we cycle around on the pit stops here. So we'll come around and we'll pit this time by. After that, we'll see if we can catch up with Rick Thompson as they're now going to catch the iRacing pace car. Well, a couple of great stages, Emmett. Only really one caution for cause, and that last one, whether it was the stage end or what it was the wreck that happened, it was basically on the last lap regardless. So only one wreck for cause here. So we're going to go ahead and come around and watch the pit stops here and see what happens. We're going to line up this way. Thompson, Butcher, Benjamin, Perkins, Bruton, and Harmon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know if they're going to come out that way, Emmett.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because Arthur, Mark Arthur was on pit road that last caution before we went to that shootout. So it'll be interesting to see if he short pits or if he was short pitting before and this time he's going to take, his full tank. He could only take gas for sure because, his tires are not that old, are still good. So it'll be interesting for sure, Derrick, to see what he does.
Yep, everyone is down pit road, up and down the board. The timing tower is lit up like a Christmas tree with the pit stop times. You see them all on the right side of your screen. So let's wait and see. You see a bunch of left sides, right sides, all on the car. There's your race leader. He came into pit road first. He'll come off at pit road first. That's Rick Thompson.
Arthur took 4. Mark Arthur took 4, I believe.
That's
I saw
surprising.
that jack go up. That is so surprising.
Surprising. Well, let's do this. I'm going to let you go ahead and catch up with our stage winner. Let's go ahead and cue him up. Give me one moment here. So he won stage 2. It's Rick Thompson, and he's with Emmett Crow.
Rick Thompson, welcome to the Green Flag TV booth, man. Congrats on the stage win, and how's your car feel out there, man?
Thanks. Yeah, the car feels great. I've been trying to figure out my line and stuff. I trying to run a little bit different line than what everybody else is running, so I can get a little bit of advantage here and there on it. But yeah, everything's been getting great. I've been getting some decent tire wear out of it, and feel pretty good for the rest of the way.
So when you saw Trevor Harmon hit the wall, and then you saw Taylor Butcher Benjamin right in your rear view, did you think you were going to be able to race it back and get the stage win?
Yeah, I thought as long as I could cover the run that Taylor had, I felt pretty good about it. I'd been racing with him for a long time, but during that last run, we were side by side for a lot of the way, and I kind of knew where he wanted to be, so I just kind of blocked that, and felt pretty good after that.
All right, well, good luck, and we'll see you at the end of the race.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
That was Rick Thompson, your stage 2 winner. And Derrick, let me ask you this. What do you think is going to play a factor in this final stage for sure? All right, we'll actually wait to hear from Derrick. This is going to be an exciting last stage. We talked about the track temperatures are starting to cool and the tires are going to warm up. The lap times are going to go faster. These cars are going to be some great racing. So stay on the edge of y'all's feet because here we go. We're coming back to the green flag this time by.
Yeah, here we go. Coming back to the green flag, the longest part of the race. We're going to go from here to the end, 84 or 85 to 202. Rick Thompson chose the outsides, got Jess Hadley to the inside. Waiting for that pace car to pull down for only the 4th time tonight. Once again, if you're just tuning in, thank you so much for watching here on Green Flag TV. Derrick watching, Emmett Crow, Dustin, Ollis in the booth. The green flag is out, and look at that. Hadley got an impressive jump. That's something we don't see all the time, Emmett. Typically, the leader gets the better jump.
Yeah, definitely. And with Hadley, another interesting thing, Derrick. Hadley is on his tires are 10 laps older than everyone else's. So on those older tires, yeah, he definitely got a good jump. But Taylor Butcher Benjamin, using those fresh Goodyears, were able to just drive around him. Sorry, General Tires, my bad. I forgot this is ARCA.
Yeah, it's just tires, right? Just you don't know what kind of
Yeah.
type they may be. But there you go. TBB is taking the lead. By the way, Hadley all
Oh,
the way
man,
back
hard hit.
here to third place. Fourth place, it looks like, from that shot right there. And TBB is pulling away. It's now Butcher, Benjamin, Lagoons, Hadley, Bruton, and Rick Thompson, your top 5.
Yeah, look
Oh,
at
they're
Lagoon.
3 wide.
Man, 3 wide racing, picking up as Hadley's now, Derrick, I think he's realizing he's a sitting duck on those older tires, and I think he's trying to get out of the way of these faster cars for sure.
Yeah, we'll wait and see how Jess Hadley reacts to what's happening here. Chris Carroll, your new fastest lap on the track, a 29.836. As you said, as this track cools down, it's going to get faster, right? So it's possible even if fuel runs get a little quicker, as Hadley almost got in the way, and they avoided. So there's Mark Arthur went inside, and Jess Hadley is falling back. Now, you said Hadley pitted. You used the term old tires. I want to clarify, you're not wrong. It's only a few laps older, right? Because it was that caution before in lap 74. These rest of these drivers pitted about 10 laps ahead. So right now, Jess is doing everything they can to make this happen. Now, earlier we talked about how that sun glare was beating people in the face. Look at that orange glow across the track. We'll try and catch it next time by Emmett. But now the challenge is different. Now it's more of this sort of solar flare that might be punching them in the face.
Yeah, definitely. And the way that the layout of Texas is, it's very unique because turn one and the front stretch are facing the sun right here, as you can see right here. Great shot from the cameras. But the way when you go into turn 2 and that big turn right there, you're good because it's blocking the sun, and all you see, I'll tell you, from the highway is just a wall. You just see the wall with all the sponsor signs. But yeah.
Well, speaking of walls, look at that big, massive wall of a video screen back there. It's been designated as one of the largest video screens ever. And I think I read this here. There's plans in real life to increase it by another 10%. Emmett. So that video screen is massive. So congrats to the track promoters. They've pulled that off. It's bigger than the one at Charlotte. It's bigger than the one that hangs above Bristol. So it's in competition with other video screens, maybe like the Kansas City Chiefs Stadium and other places for one of the biggest video boards out there.
Really cool. Talking about Big Hoss, they host a lot of events. Like they host a lot of, like for the Daytona 500, for instance, they host a free watch party. You can come watch the 500 in the infield. So it's very unique for sure. And then they do a bunch of kind of like drive-in movies. I think they hosted Days of Thunder one time, and then also during the Christmas time they have you can drive through the infield and see the Christmas lights. So very unique at Texas Motor Speedway for sure. Yeah,
hundreds of thousands of Christmas lights they set up in the infield. You just drive your personal car in. You kind of get to drive through the displays and look at it. Well, speaking of driving through, Austin Derbyshire wants to drive on through. He wants to try to get through this field. And now we're going to go move on up here to the battle for P2. This is going to be with Hunt Lagoons, Carroll, Mark Arthur, Rick Thompson, and this group. Look at him here. And that's just really tight, close to the leader. This is TBB up front. And they are not letting him go.
Yeah, not letting him go, but look at Lagoons right here. But yeah, Carroll is coming, and Carroll's coming fast. I mean, man, what a block from TBB right there on Lagoons to cut off the momentum. But I don't know, Derrick, if Carroll can get alongside of Lagoons, because Lagoons is doing a great job of being a defensive driver and keeping that 97 behind him for sure.
Well, doing a pretty good job, and this is one of the better runs we've seen Lagoons have. Of course, remember, started on pole, fell back on the first restart, started first in the second restart and fell back, but this time is really sticking with the leader.
Yeah, he's really sticking with the leader right here. And now we see Carroll go to the outside trying to get around Lagoons. He's going to try to get up to the corner panel. And I believe he will. Now he's alongside, but look at who's up there. Mark Arthur is coming up there now. So look at Mark Arthur, Derrick, after that pit stop. You know, we saw him take 4 tires, which was very odd, but I think he went for the fresher tires, and I think it's paying off for him right now.
Yeah, you know, that is sort of interesting to talk about. And what it makes me wonder here is I almost wonder if we were wrong in assuming that Arthur took tires the time before. There is limited sets of tires in this race for the drivers, 5 sets total. So it almost makes me wonder if Arthur just put the gas only and just had the confidence of finishing. Because you're right, Arthur did go ahead and take tires under this last yellow. But here's Arthur slightly pulling away now. That's Rick Thompson and Hunter Lagoon side by side. That's Derbyshire and Zimmerman side by side behind that. So they're 2 by 2 here at Texas.
Yeah, 2 by 2, as we call that, as the Texans call that, the Texas two-step. You know, right here, as we see Hunter Lagoons just trying to get alongside of Rick Thompson. He'll get back behind him, trying to get the draft and enough momentum. But Thompson doing a great job keeping behind him, as we see Zimmerman able to get ahead of Derbyshire for the moment. But Derbyshire fast back on the outside, gets the position back, and now he's coming for Lagoons.
Yeah, Derbyshire, we talked to him right before that last stage ended. And a very experienced sim racer. Doing a great job here up top in P6. Look at them all riding around here. Basically first through 8th in one single line. Watch them all go right here. That's first through 8th in the line. Then you'll see you see John Perkins, Matthew Kleinschmidt, and others leading the second pack.
Yeah, and look at this. Carroll is under far from Mark Arthur. Mark Arthur is trying to get, oh man, hard contact. Is that, I believe that's the 33 of John Perkins that hit the wall?
Yeah, I believe it was as well.
I believe that's what it was. Oh man. Mark Arthur in the wall now. Wow.
Yeah, you know, as this track gets cooler and it looks like drivers are getting more brave, and you see it right there. It's a great example. Arthur leaned up against the car up top, and Derbyshire just kind of got wide and backed out, fearful of the worst, I think. Oh, there's Derbyshire making contact. A little bit of a body check, does the Canadian. That was Brian Zimmerman who got body checked there. Sort of an homage to hockey. Of course, there's a lot of Game 7s in the playoffs this year, and Derbyshire just kind of hit him like he was in one.
Yeah, and, you know, since we're in Texas, we got to add how about them Stars knocking off the Winnipeg Jets to advance to the Western Conference Finals last night? So
how do you guys play hockey in Texas? Isn't it so hot? Doesn't the ice just melt like upon contact? I've never understood how you guys do that.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And once you go, we used to have a semi-pro team here in Wichita Falls, and they're very interesting. I loved going, but sadly that team has moved up to OKC. So we haven't had a team for a while, but yeah, hockey games are very interesting if you haven't been before.
Yeah, very interesting indeed. What's interesting is the fact that everyone's still going a couple bits of contact here in the last 5 laps, but everyone is still on track to move. Now Mark Arthur is under attack from Rick Thompson, and look at that, the track tip is down 2 more degrees since we checked in last time, about 20 minutes ago. So I was going to say, before that kicked off, you could tell people are getting more brave, right? You can see more moves happening, more 2 wides, more 3 wides. Just everything was kind of happening all at once. Well, here now it's TBB leading the field at lap 103. It's Chris Carroll, Hunter Lagoons, Mark Arthur, and Rick Thompson, your top 5. And we, by the way, have passed the halfway point.
Wow. So if we were to get some rain, the race would be official.
Race would be over. Yeah, actually, according to the NASCAR rules, I believe that the race is now official at the end of stage 2. So we passed that back on lap 80. And now we'll wait and see how this goes. Now you see by the way, the ticker at the top of your screen on the left has went from laps up to laps down. As a driver, Emmett, that is, to me, was always a breath of fresh air, right? Now when you count down in the laps instead of up, it makes you feel like you're accomplishing something.
Yeah, and especially when you're a little kid and you're watching a race, you know, you're looking there and you're like, is it almost over? But we got to talk about this battle for the lead as we see TBB continuing to lead, but Chris Carroll is just right there on the back bumper. But look at that, Derek. Here comes Hunter Lagoons, your pole sitter. Shoot to the inside.
Oh, that got close, and I'm not sure it's over yet. Lagoon's trying to make the bottom stick, and he will. The Pit Lizard Performance Machine at number 27 trying to make this stick.
Yeah,
And they're now side by side through 1 and 2. You would think TBB would have the better run off the corner, but I think Lagoons are going to clear him right there. Nope, not yet.
you would think also that Lagoon's teammate, right there, I believe, is Chris Carroll his teammate?
We can double check on that and find out.
I was about to say, because I saw Lizard something on that hood.
Let's take a look. Well, Lagoon is currently in the 5 King Motorsports Discord channel with Zimmerman, Chris Carroll, Cody Gibson, and Larry Bell. So, yes, I would believe that is a teammate battle.
Well, that's who I want behind me is
smoke in the
my
back.
teammate. Is my teammate. So
It's both Rick Thompson and TBB who hit that wall. By the way, Hunter Lagoon has taken the lead here, by the way. Chris Carroll's up to second. Mark Arthur's in third. So, a little bit of a swap around of how these are lined up here.
you know what I'm thinking about, Derek? I'm thinking, you remember the old NASCAR 06 where you had the team communicator?
Total team control. The
Total
worst,
team
the
control,
worst
yeah.
damn gimmick in any EA NASCAR game ever. Total team control. Please tell me how you think it was a good idea. Go ahead and try and tell me.
I don't think it was a good idea, but
Okay,
use
good.
use your team communicator and telling the driver to block those cars
Block the
behind
rest of the
him.
field. The worst
Yes.
thing ever. Yes. Yeah, clicking that right analog stick and just make it happen. That was horrible. But here's what's not horrible. Here's TBB. That is kind of horrible, actually, for TBB to get up in that wall like that. And you see Mark Arthur to the inside. I remember as a
Man.
kid, I was not a kid. As a teenager, as a young adult, I was older than I want to be when that came out. But yeah, I hated that feature. It was stupid. It was awful. The Intimidator feature, I think, was 05 or 04. That was better. That was when
05.
you could intimidate or be nice to people. You use Dirty Air or the Draft or whatever to kind of, you made
Well-
rivals. Oh, there's, speaking of Dirty Air,
Rick
there's a
Thompson.
car in the wall. My goodness, that's Rick Thompson.
Well, now I will say, from 04 to till they stopped. Well, about 07, you
07,
still
I
had
think, 08, 09.
you still had the Intimidator feature.
Yeah, I think the last EA NASCAR was 09. They had dropped the Thunder title by that point. But boy, there
Mhm.
was a little bit of thunder or lightning up against that wall as Rick Thompson just made a boom right there against that wall. By the way, Emmett, this week in the Blazing Pedals Discord, we try to ask a weekly question of the drivers just to kind of get to know them, maybe have some fun, lighten the mood. So this week we asked if you could eliminate one track, one oval,
man.
and one road course from the schedule. We'll get back to that. There was an incredible pass. That's Fred Thompson up against the wall, very slow. And wow, massively almost in the way. Here comes now Rick Thompson. And let's see how this works out. A little Thompson on Thompson racing. Fred tried to get out of the way. Rick was not anticipating, I don't think, but okay, that scary moment I think is past. No, it hasn't. As Fred
Thought
almost
he was
climbed the
about to
hill.
bring it in.
My goodness.
Anyways, what were you saying about the question?
So I was going to say the question this week, if you could remove any one oval and one road course from the service, what would you pick? And all the drivers kind of chimed in. I was focused on Rick Thompson when this question, when I started this little transition here. Get your opinion. Rick Thompson says he would eliminate Kansas
Wow.
for his oval and would eliminate Coda for the road course.
Now I could see Coda, but Kansas, there's a lot of great racing. I'd eliminate Southern National.
That's a good one, but so underused. I don't know if I'd spend the time on it to see there. A couple other responses came in. Dalton Kilrow, second in points not here tonight, said Phoenix for his oval, and the road course would be Sonoma. That's a solid choice right there. Sonoma is
Yeah.
one of the hardest road courses, in my opinion. Phoenix was a pretty common answer. Ty Maraska said that. So keep that. By the way, Jess Hadley has now pitted under green, or is expected to pit under green, pardon me, what I'm being told in my ears.
Good shot of the football head on the top of that car.
There it is. I thought I heard the call. Jess Hadley is coming in this time by, and I would think this is early. I mean, we went green on lap 85-ish. We're now on lap 115, but considering Hadley pitted under that last caution of 74, I guess this would be right on schedule.
Yeah, remember, that's right. He did stay out because, yeah, he got a good launch, but he got passed by everybody and became a sitting duck very quick. But look at Hunter Lagoons. I mean, started on the pole and has really been, he dropped back a little bit, but he's been really good in this final stage, holding on. Oh my gosh, we got some great battles going on. Derrick for a second.
This is TBB. This is Chris Carroll. This is Rick Thompson. This is a great battle. That was a long stop, by the way, 18.3 for Hadley. So I'm not sure what may happen there, but this is a great battle right here. And maybe it's starting to separate a little bit here. I think TBB is going to start to pull away. But remember, Hunter Lagoons is also about 1 second ahead of this. So as great of a battle as this is, it's not for first place. By the way, I want to bring out one more topic about that question from earlier this week. Cody Gibson ironically said, remember this question came out on Thursday. Cody Gibson said, I would delete Texas. Well, I got it in my head. Now he's 4 laps down at Texas. I don't think that opinion has changed.
For real?
I think Texas would still be the answer. By the way, hot take. Our producer, Dustin Ollis, wants to delete Charlotte.
Now the legacy Charlotte or the new Charlotte?
I don't think it matters. He said Charlotte for oval and road course. So it says on the top of the screen, I will not be taking questions. So yeah, just Charlotte. So keep in mind that. So if you are a Blazing Pedals driver, please do check in every Thursday in Discord. We ask some fun questions just to kind of lighten the mood. Could be about your favorite school subject we've done in the past, whether you race with socks or shoes, and all kinds of weird stuff. So please come on in and have fun and engage with the rest of the league there. But here's Rick Thompson now battling in P4. And by the way, the lights are on. I realized a second ago, and I kind of realized we kind of missed the exact transition point, but the lights are on here at Texas. The sun is down. And I guess, what's it, Kenny Chesney who says, when the sun goes down, we'll be grooving?
Be grooving? Yeah. Yeah.
That's the part of the song I don't understand, but he said everything gets hotter when the sun goes down.
Well,
I know what he means, but not exactly, Kenny Chesney.
Well, I beg to differ. Growing up in small town Oklahoma, but especially on a Friday night. But great racing going on right here between Nicholas Moody and Matthew Kleinschmidt.
Yeah, this is a great return run for Kleinschmidt, by the way. Back on the lead lap, got that lucky dog. Remember, Kleinschmidt was involved in that incident at the end of the first stage, ran right in the back, I believe, of Brian Dees. And I thought for sure already had a lot of damage, maybe was going to be done in that race, but that's not the case. And we just heard Rick Thompson apologize to Chris Carroll, possibly some contact we may have just missed. And Thompson's now pulling away. Let's see if we can get back in our Green Flag TV replay machine. Watch this contact. That's Cody Gibson up ahead here. Let's wait and see what's going to happen. Going to come up here. I think there's a little bit of a door. Nope. And there's nothing. I think they thought there was contact, but there's just nothing but air between them, Emmett.
Yeah, but I'm getting word now that the Pit Lizards from Pit Lizards Performance are over there in Rick Thompson's pit box, and they're not happy, so you better watch out if you're Rick Thompson's crew.
Well, listen, the pit stops are starting, by the way. This is on schedule, Austin Derbyshire. That is a long pit stop. Is there a black flag for Austin Derbyshire? That's got to be the case. There's not.
Maybe damage.
Wow. It must be damage. I'm so confused. But I was going to say, the thing about we heard is Rick Thompson came in and apologized, right? He thinks there may have been contact, but there wasn't. But what a moment that is, by the way, for Rick Thompson. And Austin Derbyshire cuts it to the grass and stops and calls it a day.
Wow.
All right. Well, here's a side-by-side battle. This is Chris Carroll. This is
Oh,
Mark
man.
Arthur. As there's cars pitting, and I thought for sure Chris Carroll was going to eat the back end of their car there.
Yeah, it looked like Brian Zimmerman was trying to get down to pit road, and Chris Carroll just didn't see it there for a moment, but at the last minute was able to avoid that contact because that could have been huge for sure.
Yeah, it could have been massive right there. So this is on schedule. Remember, this is right around the time when everyone would have pitted. They're now pitting right around lap 123, 124. So this is Mark Arthur. That's Jess Hadley in the 50. And Mark, remember, does need to pit. Jess does not. Jess pitted about 10 laps ago. So you would think right now, as you've seen, Jess Hadley's going to pull away for the moment. That is the benefit of new tires from 10 laps ago. And Mark Arthur, let's see, last pitted lap 83. So Hadley has now taken at least a lap back here because Mark Arthur is your leader. And there's Arthur down pit road.
Yeah, Arthur coming in now. That'll give the lead over to Larry Bell, I believe. No, Larry Bell's on pit road. That'll give the lead back to Lagoons.
Yeah, wait and see how it cycles back out here as these pit stops are happening. According to my timing and scoring, I think everybody now has pitted this time by, so the cycle is complete. And we'll wait and see what happens. Watch Rick Thompson's entry here on the pit road. Ooh, got it showed up there, but that looked like it was coming a little hot. Yeah, either that or maybe the car in front of him was slow. But that looked like a big difference in speed of that pit road entry.
Yeah, it definitely did. Yeah, he's definitely coming in hot. Man, I think back that reminded me of Thursday night, Derrick, when y'all did the All-Star qualifying and came down pit road going 150, 160 miles an hour.
Yeah. Yeah, what a blast that was. And speaking of blast right now, Mark Arthur's riding around. But as you said, there's Brian Zimmerman now on screen. But as Hunter Lagoons back to the front here, as we have 75 laps to go at Texas Motor Speedway.
See Fred Thompson on pit road.
Yeah, Fred's maybe not having the night he wanted. Has had a rough time.
I do see Mike Massengill has called it quits.
Yeah, I remember Massengill unfortunately got caught up in that wall that brought that caution out in stage 2. And so I've not gotten word from Massengill yet. Was trying to see if we could get what happened. We're now being told there may be some hardware problems with a screen freeze for Massengill. And that may have been what caused that caution. So unfortunate for Mike. It's now going to put him out of the race. He's now already a bunch of laps down. And we'll wait and see where he finishes as this night goes on.
When I took a look at Taylor Butcher Benjamin, does he have a SpongeBob helmet on?
I think he does. I bet we can even get an in-car camera. I don't know if we have one at points. Oh, look at that. There it is. Yep, right on the scoring pylon. Or the scoring graphic in the bottom, pardon me. The SpongeBob helmet. Let's see if we can get...
And he's got a tuxedo
Kinda see
on.
inside the car,
Unbelievable.
yeah.
He's a pickle Rick.
Got it confusing in it. It's got Rick and Morty on the hood. It's got SpongeBob on the helmet. You got to pick a cartoon, my man. Oh, there it is. Yep. Look at that. And it's all in a sponge. Is that a SpongeBob suit as well?
I think it's just a regular suit.
Okay, this is the yellow belts. I swear that's a tie, but that blue thing hanging down the middle, though. Yeah. So, I guess is this one of those dress for the job you want, not the job you have kind of moments?
I mean, he's definitely gonna be best dressed, for sure.
Yeah, it's a good look here.
Now, does Rick Thompson, when he gets out, does he have a fedora on? And do they hand him a Tommy gun?
Oh, I get it. The mafia thing. Okay, yeah. I was like, where are we going with the fedora thing? But yeah, I got it. Okay. Yes, got it. Okay, I'm a little slow in the uptake here. I'm on the sinus meds today, so yeah, I got it. I'm there. Okay, got it.
I want to add also, Derek, that a cool thing that Texas Motor Speedway also does, or all the speedways, they do a charity event where you can pay, I believe, $20, $30, and you get to bring your own personal car and run, I believe, 3 laps around the track. So you get to, but you can't get on the banking all the way. So they give you like you got to run around, I believe, towards the apron around the track, but you get to go on the track, so that's very cool.
That is pretty cool. Of course, Texas, over time, known for many gimmicks, many ideas. So we talked about Big Haas, the video wall. Back in the mid 2000s, really was kind of the track full of gimmicks, right? I mean, at one point, this track featured, different things. They would do ticket refund deals if a race didn't have so many passes, or they would do, they did the all-female pit crew at one point. My personal favorite at one point, they trained monkeys to hand out and sell the programs to the audience for the race. So this track is known to have a gimmick or two up their sleeve.
Yeah, and another cool thing back in about a couple of years ago, they a guy by the name of crud. He had Highway 30 up in Idaho, right? Well, he decided to bring it down to Texas Motor Speedway, and they had Gary's Highway 30 Texas edition right here at the track. It was right in the front stretch infield. So yeah, and it was packed. I think there was like 50,000, 60,000 people each night. So a great event for sure.
And of course, remember, this track used to get 2 NASCAR races a year. It gave up 1 so Dakota could have a race. And then it's been given to All-Star race 1 year. And this track always really does produce a great amount of racing. Of course, about 8 years ago, they made some repaves to the track. The biggest reason for the repave, all the drivers may not have been in favor, they understood, was this new surface and the new angles of the corners allows for easier drying of the track. And it's kind of awkward to say that, seeing as how we're at Texas, but man, if NASCAR comes here, it probably will rain.
Yeah, I can testify for that. My first race at Texas was in 2020 during COVID. Got there, watched the truck race, the end of the truck race, and then we sat there, watched about a quarter of the race, and then it rained for 3 days straight, and then they finished it on the third about Wednesday. We were there Sunday. Race didn't get over till Wednesday night. So yeah, I can testify for that for sure.
So that's one of the memes of the tropes of NASCAR. Bring NASCAR, it will rain. So if you have a drought, let's go ahead and bring them on. Here's Trevor Harmon, by the way. This is, I would think, a little off schedule. I'm a little confused by this call. No offense to Trevor Harmon, but
interesting. Very interesting. But I want to add, that was actually Gordy Schroeder that brought the Highway 30 to Texas. So sorry about that, Gordy. Great job of bringing that festival, but sadly, I believe it is no longer going to happen for the next.
Yeah, it's been a while since it happened, if I remember right. But there's Trevor Harmon. Look at that. That's a long pit stop down on pit road. That's 28, 29, 30 seconds for Trevor Harmon. No black flag that I can see. So this is all damage repairs. So that's what's happening. Let's watch what happened to Trevor Harmon. This is in the back end of Larry Bell.
Oh man, hello. Hard contact.
Man, what's that country song? Hello, Wall. Well, that's what Trevor Harmon just said.
Another cool thing about Texas Motor Speedway, it's right there next to Fort Worth, and if you've never been to the stockyards, I highly recommend it. There's a Mexican restaurant there called Joe T. Garcia's, and they've had everybody from Harrison Ford to fly into, that's his personal spot, to Owen Wilson, to many stars of anything, and that's where they all seem to eat.
And the other cool thing about Texas, speaking of on-track activities, we see a little bit here happening little by little, side by side, is when the caution comes out, we've not really had a chance to see it much tonight, thank goodness, but these fence poles light up. One of the unique technology that Texas has innovated and I don't think invented it, but they've definitely put it to use, is basically from turn 4 through turn 1, maybe to turn 2, that fence lights up yellow and blinks back and forth. So there is no reason not to know But the caution's out of Texas.
Yeah, and you can thank a longtime track promoter and now retired track promoter, Mr. Eddie Gossett, for that.
Yep, one of the innovations he came up with. At first, remember they tried to put him down on the ground so they would kind of be at eye level with the drivers. That only lasted, I think, for a year, maybe two at most, back in the mid-2000s. And then they got the idea to move him up to the fence. And it is kind of a cool thing in iRacing. When you're sitting here under caution, you just kind of get to see the fence post blink yellow. So a cool feature. On board here, this is Brian Zimmerman, by the way, up in P4. He's now behind Rick Thompson, who's behind TBB. And all of them are about 2.5 seconds behind Hunter Lagoon. Boy, oh boy. You talked about how Hunter Lagoon was having a hard time in the beginning. Since the sun has gone down, pardon the pun, it is a night and day difference with Hunter Lagoon.
Yeah, and all those pit lizards are just hooping and hollering for the 27 machine for sure. So hopefully Hunter Lagoon can bring it home for the pit lizards for sure.
We talked to Hunter. We talked to Hunter right before the race went green. I'm not sure Hunter sounded old enough to have a pit lizard on the side of his car, but we'll let that go. You can take from that what you will, but that thought did come to my mind. But here, look at this, Brian Zimmerman sticking right behind Rick Thompson as much as he can, just trying to see if he can stay in that draft, maybe gain some speed and do some work here. So a great battle for second going on. Well, let's do this. Let's take a couple of moments. Let's take in the sights and sounds at Texas Motor Speedway. Let's go ahead and sit back and go full throttle on Green Flag TV. Back here live on Green Flag TV, Derrick Watson, Emmett Crow, Dustin, Ollis down in the booth. And Emmett, we had a moment at 3-wide racing there.
Yeah, we did. Definitely some great action for sure, but it is really, really thinned out, really fanned out. Hunter Lagoons continue to lead. Now he's jumped out to 3 3/10 of a second. So Hunter Lagoons, I'm not going to say because I gave Jasper Crawford the broadcaster curse last night, so I'm not going to say, but Hunter Lagoon's looking good tonight for sure.
Looking very good tonight, right? Only about 51 laps to go, so probably just one more pit stop in his future. He last pitted on lap 125. We're now working lap 141, I believe. 52, pardon me. My math is a little off here tonight. So you would think we're about 10-ish laps from pitting again.
You would think so, but we've seen these guys go for some long distance for sure.
Yeah, my timing and scoring was focused on Trevor Harmon. So when I pulled out 142, it's because unfortunately Trevor Harmon's a few laps down as of this moment. But here we are, 50 laps to go. So one more pit stop is all these drivers will need under green flag conditions. So an important pit stop. Make sure you get that pit entry correct, get that pit exit correct, get in your pit stall correct. You know, oftentimes, Emmett, I say when I'm working with other commentators, I think pit entry and pit exit is one of the most under-practiced skills in all of sim racing.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'll never forget my first time on iRacing, and first time I had to come down pit road. I was like, you know, I was used to the console side where you just automatically, you know, you hit the line and it automatically gets you into your spot. That's not the case for iRacing.
No,
You have to manually drive and get in your spot and then get through the gears and get good exit speed without speeding or going across the line for sure.
Here, speaking of doing well and racing the line, there was TBB riding the line. He's got Trevor Harmon behind you, got Rick Thompson, Larry Bell. And remember, Harmon way down on laps, but has newer tires. He was trying to make this work. There's Jess Hadley. Remember, Hadley was about 10 laps off of the pit cycle due to not pitting at the end of the stage. So not a surprise he Hadley already pitting. So we're being told 39 laps on this stint for Jess Hadley and down pit road. But really the challenge for Harmon right now, Emmett, is being respectful, right? Because you have new tires. You may feel like you have the car and the tires to kind of blow on by these drivers, but you certainly don't want to do anything detrimental to anybody else.
Yeah, and I was looking at this, and that is tough break for. But also, I mean, you got to think about this too, Derek. You know, you go out here, continue to run, have a good points day, you know, and that's why I think he's still out here. Shout out to Trevor Harmon for coming back on the track, you know, instead of, you know, called it quits or something. But great job by that 29 team, and hopefully can have a good points day and get a good finish.
Yeah, a couple of drivers, maybe some laps down, you can still catch if things go your way. So you always want to try and see what happens. But I want to take a moment and give a shout out to Brad Lawson and maybe some other members of Blazing Pedals. Some drivers this weekend either directly or indirectly affected by the tornadoes that went across some of the states here in the United States. So to Brad and the rest of the field who's maybe not here tonight racing, maybe you're dealing with helping friends, family, yourself, or others. Hope everything goes well. Hope to see you back in 2 weeks. We'll go racing at Rockingham.
Yeah, being from Oklahoma, I know a thing or two about tornadoes.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Those things always bring a lot of impact, just whether it be physical damage, whether it be just, you know, it just kind of makes you nervous, anxious, kind of messes with your mental health a little bit, no matter what happens. So I know Brad's out helping some family and friends kind of deal with the recovery efforts, and give out a shout out to him and anyone else who may not be here tonight for those reasons. So we'll see, hopefully see Brad back in 2 weeks. Here's Trevor Harmon still riding behind TBB. He's got a nice little buffer between him, between TBB and Thompson. But that was Hadley. See that time that popped up for Hadley a second ago? 1:25. So that obviously was more than just a scheduled pit stop. That must have been for some repairs or something else, because that was an incredibly long pit stop. And now up to the leader we go. The number 27 machine, that red and white machine. Again, as you said, almost 3.5 seconds. Let's see what happens to Hadley. Let's see what caused that long pit stop. Up the hill and oof.
Ooh,
I'll tell you what.
got out of the crew.
That's about 10 laps before the pit stop. There must be something else though, because I'm telling you that like that didn't feel like 90 seconds worth of damage right there.
Yeah, it didn't. And now we see Brian Zimmerman on pit road.
Yeah, we're now working lap 161 for Zimmerman. This would be right on schedule. Now, here's the problem with lap 161. We're going 202. Now, I may have only been like a C student in math. That's more than 40 laps. So now if you're Zimmerman pitting this early, you've got to hope for a caution or you're pitting again.
Mm-hmm.
Or you're going to be, or if not, you're going to be darn close at the line. You're going to be nervous.
I was about to say, or are you sitting there and save, and sandbagging enough, and then when you get to about 10 laps, then you're going full throttle?
Well, here comes the leader. This is Lagoons. You see a car behind him. So pit stops are beginning. That was Lagoon's black flag. That looked like speeding. I saw that big wiggle. And that's going to be detrimental to his odds of winning this race. So lots of story to follow there. Lagoon's going to have to come down, and he'll serve the penalty at the pit stop. So it's going to be a long pit stop, and that was after it really happened right there on that camera shot. But you saw the bit of a wiggle, and typically that's a telltale sign for a driver. If that car's wiggling as you come to line, you're probably trying to slow it down.
Yeah, and also something interesting, Derek. The longer. Oh yeah.
You know what? He may have. I'm not sure. Maybe he got it down to speed, but I think he also clipped the yellow cone. So either way, it's a black flag.
I was about to say, it looked like he locked up the brakes.
Yeah, TBB now pitting. This is now your race leader coming down. This will give the lead likely to Chris Carroll, unless Carroll decides to come down as well.
So TBB.
We talked about how fast Lagoons came in. TBB was quite the opposite. Wow, Lagoons just now getting out of his pit stall. That was a 40-second hold penalty applied to Hunter Lagoons. So if you're Lagoons now, you've got to almost hope for a caution so that you can kind of work that out.
Let me ask you this, Derek. If you're Mark Arthur, are you thinking deja vu? I mean, last night he had at Atlanta, he had the fuel mileage race. Are you thinking deja vu, and are you getting nervous about your fuel strategy?
Anytime you're in a fuel mileage race, I think you get nervous, right? Anytime that's the strategy, you get nervous because, you know, everybody wants to have what we call peace of mind, right? There's one of those sales buzzwords, peace of mind, and you want to know you have the gas, and when you do, you just behave better, you drive better, you're not flipping screens on your black box trying to see, you know, if you have it or don't have it. So I'm sure if Mark Arthur had his way, he would rather have the gas. There's the 28, by the way. That is Brian Zimmerman trying to get his way through those cars. He is the leader now, and there is Mark Arthur off at pit road. And taking a look at the timing tower. Right now, Hunter Lagoon is down one lap in P9. William Bruton is ahead of him. So, unfortunately for Lagoon right now, even if that caution comes out, he's going to fight Bruton for that lucky dog.
Yeah, definitely going to have to fight Bruton. And him and Bruton are nowhere near the same place on the track, so
that is Bruton, by the way. That purple and white or purple and silver machine right there in the middle of that camera shot, that is Bruton. That is your lucky dog. Now as he's coming here through the corner,
Lagoon just ran the fastest lap.
He certainly did. So he is driving a little angry more than likely. But right here, so there's the line right there for Bruton. There's the line right there for Lagoon. So about 2 seconds difference. So it's going to be interesting. Oh my gosh. Speaking of interesting, contact almost happened right there with Bruton and Rick Thompson. And that would have been what Hunter Lagoon needed. That would have given him the lucky dog had that caution come out.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, of course, look at the difference. Lagoon's pit box forever, 54.7. That's because of the penalty. So if you take out the 40 seconds, nearly identical were those two pit stops. And you see Lagoon lap by lap, half a second faster. So in a minute, that red and white machines are going to come into this camera shot. It's Lagoon again, the fastest lap.
Yeah. Another interesting thing, Derek, if we do get a caution, you know, Lagoons could take the wave around and not pit and be able to get back on the lead lap.
Yeah, well, then, if all the leaders were to pit, that would be an option. But one leader not pitting would throw that option away. So we'll wait and see how that plays out. But again, Lagoon that time 0.3 of a second faster. So 1.2 seconds is the gap. This is the battle for the lucky dog. Right now for the front, you're not missing anything because right now, Brian Zimmerman has a 2-second gap on TBB. So we see that battle happen in the top left side of the screen. You see the numbers ticking away. You see the numbers ticking down on the lap counts. You also see Trevor Harmon back on pit road. Lots of small stories happening and developing all at once here at Texas.
Yeah, definitely. Brian Zimmerman might look like a genius with that. I was about to say,
Yeah.
he's going to be tight on fuel, Derek, but I mean, if he comes out looking like a genius after this thing, that would be unbelievable.
I mean, it's going to be a great win. You know, to me, if I think I'm going to be tight on fuel and I have a gap, I mean, that gap's already come down half a second, by the way, on TBB. So that might be a sign that Zimmerman's trying to save fuel because it's not impossible to get half a lap on someone at Texas, but it's also not common. So I'm wondering now if Zimmerman's already trying to back it off and do some fuel saving.
Look at Hunter Lagoons catching up to William Bruton. I mean, he is
see
right
it both in the same camera shot. There's that old adage, object in your mirror, maybe closer than they appear. Well, not in this case because that car of Lagoon is getting closer and closer and closer to the back end of Bruton.
Here he goes. He's going to shoot to the inside, trying to get alongside of him.
Remember, this is just pure speed difference. There's no tire advantage here. Both drivers pitted one lap apart. And I think right about now, if the caution were to come out, Hunter Lagoon is the new lucky dog.
And what a move for Hunter Lagoon in the pit lizard performance machine. That would be huge if he's able to get a caution and get that lucky dog.
That would be huge indeed. So right now we're back to the front. This is TBB. He's got Rick Thompson on his back bumper. They're almost about 0.2 of a second apart. The problem is now they're both still about 1 second back on Zimmerman. By the way, I said that 1 second back. I'm going to repeat that one more time. 1 second back because 5 laps ago, it was 2 seconds back.
Yeah.
So I bet if we ride on board with Zimmerman through the next set of corners, I bet we're going to hear some clutching and coasting. Let's go ahead and follow here through start finish line. Let's lay out for a second and listen in. Yep, there you heard it, Emmett, through at least turns 1 and 2. Not through 3 and 4 as much, but 1 and 2. You heard the lifting, the coasting, the clutching of Brian Zimmerman. And that gap is closing now half a second.
But here's the thing also, Derek. Look at this. Look, Rick Thompson is trying to pull alongside of TBB. If that happens, hard contact for Brian Zimmerman. But if that happens, Zimmerman is able to pull away just ever so slightly for sure.
Yeah, so Zimmerman's going to try, and you have to suspect he's concerned about gas, and that's why this fall-off is happening, because remember, they all pitted within 4 to 5 laps of one another. So there's no difference here as far as that's concerned about tires or advantages, but those extra 4 laps that TBB pitted, that's given him that confidence. Remember that word I used, peace of mind? TBB has the peace of mind, and he can lay on the gas pedal and make this work because they're not too wide through turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, here they come. Battle for still hard contact for Rick Thompson, but look at Brian Zimmerman. He's able to keep it on that high line and keep the momentum and maintain the lead. But look at Thompson. Thompson's got a great drive off the corner exit, and he gets a good run down the backstretch.
Yeah, Rick Thompson, maybe we'll see if he did too much damage to that car. We'll watch to see how it behaves through turns 3 and 4. By the way, of note, remember back in qualifying in the daytime, remember how they were lifting and they were back down to like 160 miles an hour because of the lack of grip on the track? Look at it through the corner this time. He's going to get down to like 170. Nah, that time it back off a little bit, but they're doing more speed here, and there's a pass for the lead. TBB has taken the lead from Brian Zimmerman.
Yeah, TBB takes the lead away. Now we see Rick Thompson just gonna drive on by of Brian Zimmerman, Rick Thompson. But Derek, it's gonna be interesting because that car might have some damage.
Whoa,
Oh
lap
my
car!
gosh.
Brett Thompson in the way of Rick Thompson. My goodness, he said no place to go. I would debate that, but that, oh my gosh, that was scary.
That's the last thing you want to see as a driver is your teammate right in front of you and checking up in front of you. And I don't know how he
Watch this
avoided it.
again. This is going to be scary.
Oh my gosh.
Remember, that's a look right there from the middle car. The 2 wide, they were 3 wide, right? There was a car to the outside.
I believe it was Brian Zimmerman, wasn't it?
Oh man, I know Fred keyed up and said, "I'm sorry, I felt like I had nowhere to go." I get it, but I don't. Right? And watch this again. We're going to come up on him fast here. But you got to get further to the left, Fred. Oh my gosh, you just got to be out of the way there. That could have been, mow the grass, anything.
Yeah,
but
take it to the grass. Turn left. Turn left, not right. More left, yeah.
yeah, that was a scary moment with about 20 laps to go. So we're still green here at Texas Motor Speedway. Thanks so much for hanging out and watching along here on Green Flag TV, the Blazing Pedals ARCA League. And
Rick Thompson.
Still TBB's race, but Thompson just tapped the wall again. That's becoming a common trend.
And look at this. Hunter Lagoons is about to unlap himself, Derek, as he's now caught Rick Thompson in P2 and has his set side on Butcher Benjamin for the lead car.
Doesn't want to have to worry about the lucky dog. Wants to see what he can make happen on his own. Hunter Lagoon, just to give you an idea, last time by a 30.213, 30.4, so 0.2 of a second per lap is Lagoon over TBB. So now Lagoon said on the radio, I don't want to be in the way. I'm going to try and do this and make this easy for everyone. But you're right, he is closing. Now remember, that gap on the screen is a little off because it's really 1 lap plus 0.2 seconds. This is not a battle for the lead. But now if he gets around here and anything weird happens, he's in contention.
Well, and the thing also, if something happens with him and Butcher Benjamin holds him up, Rick Thompson could slide into that number 1 spot.
Yeah, and that's what I think Lagoon meant by saying, I want to make this easy. I don't want to be in the way. He knows that if he gets in the way here and he starts a big battle, that he could cause this to open up. And
big wiggle
the
from
PBB got wiggled out of the corner, and I thought it was going to be bad. Lagoon's now going to try the outside. He's going to get a small bit of draft from that second place car.
Look at that. And Rick Thompson going to follow right
behind. Look at that timer's flipped over. Lagoon was back in lead lap for a second. He'll get a push down the back straight away. He'll get lead lap here, I'm pretty sure, in a moment. I'm surprised TBB is not letting him go, honestly. I know you have a car right behind you, but he's providing a draft for P2.
Yeah, look at Rick Thompson. Rick Thompson is now going to try to use Lagoons to get around TBB, and I don't know, that is very interesting that he didn't just big shot down the back bumper, and we got a battle for the lead while this is going on.
Now the good news for Butcher Benjamin, Lagoon moved down. That'll give a small bit of draft to the bottom lane. It almost feels like Lagoon's kind of the puppet master a little bit, right? Just kind of gets control a little bit of the draft. He'll pull away, and that'll go away. But for this one little moment, it kind of adds a little bit of something on the bottom lane. TBB closes up here. Now Lagoon will move up top, and he'll pull Rick Thompson along. Just a bit of contact. And I think Thompson's now probably going to get away here in turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, Thompson gonna use man, look at that. Thompson a couple laps ago was hitting the wall, but now I think he hit the wall, and I thought something was wrong with that car. But I think after that last hit, I think he knocked it right because that car is turning and it's got enough grip. Looking at how he goes into the corner for sure.
Yeah, he's definitely lucked out. Not more damage to that car than there could be, but still basically a drag race down the straightaway, down to the corner. You see Butcher Benjamin's going to close the gap a little bit. No contact. We're still getting close.
Thompson. Man.
And Lagoon just gets to have Lagoon might have the best seat in the house to watch this battle.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Boy,
TBB
lap by
almost-
lap, this gets a little closer, a little bit more anxious. This time by 10 laps to go. We're about to start counting the single-digit laps as Butcher Benjamin just about put the bumper to Rick Thompson.
Yeah, he almost got into that corner panel, and that would have sent them both out of this race because, man, at this high speed, if you make just the slightest contact, it's going to be trouble for both of y'all.
Well, look at this. Look at that amazing dig Butcher Benjamin got out of the corner. He actually gained ground on the bottom lane of that corner. That's not something you and I have said mostly throughout the night. Typically, the car on the outside has gotten the better run, but again, through 3 and 4, about an index car between them.
Yeah, you cannot cut the tension with a knife. It's so thick. But, I mean, look at this. They're so, I mean, it's unbelievable. But now TBB, I think he hit the apron right there, and it actually gave him a speed boost. So
I'm not sure. I know some catch the white line as well, but I'm not sure what it did for his car. But he's now falling a little bit back behind Rick Thompson, who's now in the lead. Now look, he was kind of riding the back bumper, and I thought he was going to swipe across there like a bad Tinder recommendation across that back bumper.
Going for the crossover right here. Here comes Thompson. Here comes Butcher Benjamin trying to get it to go. He's going to shoot to the inside, trying to get alongside of it, but he can't do it, Derrick. Thompson's just too good on that high side.
Thompson's now trying to pull away. Remember, Thompson won stage 2. We talked to him a little bit ago, and he's hoping we talk to him again in victory lane. But we're not done yet. TBB is going to make the move. That 10 car, the Rick and Morty car with the SpongeBob driver, is now back under him. Going to try to get the move through turns 1 and 2 again. Both these drivers full of respect. Neither one wants to make the mistake. Neither one wants to make the contact. But look at this. Out of the corner, TBB is in the lead.
Yeah, TBB gets the advantage, but I'll tell you what is going. I wanted to know, Derrick, what's going through your mind if you're ahead of that 10 car and you look in the rear view and all you see is SpongeBob just laughing at you?
Well, what I'm thinking right now is that I think if I'm the 76 that I'm a little annoyed. I think this TBB got a bit of a draft from Jess Hadley and Fred Thompson, and that may have helped TBB get on around. Let's watch this pass for third up top real quick. This would be between Chris Carroll and Brian Zimmerman. This happened as we were watching the pass on the bottom of your screen.
Yeah, Carroll able to use that inside line and just rocket past Zimmerman and shoot in front of him.
Now here we come around 5 laps to go. TBB has gotten back around Rick Thompson one again. What a battle it's been for the last 20 laps, Emmett.
Yeah, this has been some great racing for sure. I see some white smoke. Was that Hunter Lagoons hitting the wall?
There was someone definitely loose up here ahead of these lap cars. I believe it was Lagoon.
Wow.
As he has now let that gap. Fred Thompson's also been a wall a couple times, being told by our producer Dustin Ollis. So lots going on. And honestly, right now, if you're TBB, that's the last thing you want to hear. That we do have overtime rules, so it's not as if, we're done. Jess Hadley needs to pit one more time, so this will be here with about 4 to go. Other topic of concern. Let's look this over. TBB pit stop 166 should be good. Thompson 165, Carroll 166, Brian Zimmerman back and forth. Remember, he led 162. So I think the top 3 are all good on gas.
Yeah. I'm not. I think so, but I'm not going to stamp my approval because you never know what could happen in these fuel mileage races for sure.
This is on board with Brian Zimmerman. This is the driver who I think would be at most at risk of being out of gas. Jess Hadley black flagged, by the way, so Going to have to serve a penalty there. Unsafe pit exit, we're being told. But Brian Zimmerman, watch this car slowing. It's really not slowing in the corner, actually. It's not through 3 and 4. We'll see what happens. And 1 and 2, Carroll on the wall. And here we now are 2 to go. The double popsicle sticks here at Texas Motor Speedway. It's a 2-car race. It's Butcher Benjamin. It's Rick Thompson up front. Down the back straight for the penultimate time. Down through turns 3 and 4. And I think, Emmett, unless there's a slip up here, this is TBB's race.
Yeah, I definitely think this is TBB's race. You see him. I mean, look at Barney just waving that white flag. Shout out to Barney. Great effort. But, yeah, great effort from Taylor, Butcher, Benjamin. I think this is his race to lose for sure.
Came into tonight 3rd in points. Justin Levine missed the race. Dalton Kilrow did not race. This is your chance to make every point possible. Down through turns 3 and 4 for the last time. Thompson's going to try, but not going to get there. Well, the man with 3 names has 1 goal, and it's to win at Texas.
Yeah, congrats to TBB with the win. Rick Thompson for
That
the circuit.
was amazing.
That was amazing. That was a great race for sure.
Boy, I'll tell you, at one point, about 10 laps ago, you would have thought Rick Thompson was the winner. And you never would have thought TBB was going to pull that pass on the bottom, I don't think.
Yeah, I didn't think it was going to happen, but maybe that damage did end up playing a factor in the aero side as the laps went on, and that could have also hurt him on the aero side trying to get up to TBB for sure. He dropped a lot.
Bit of a burnout finally. I think thought we were going to see it across the start finish. I was kind of waiting for it. I got faked out. But finally through turns 1 and 2, TBB is going to do some donuts. Now he's going to try to do the long burnout down. Try to see how long. Nope, not that long. Never mind. ...202 laps later, started 7th. Started 8th, finished 1st, up 7 spots. Let's go and take a look at your unofficial race results. See how this lined out here. Taylor Butcher Benjamin, the Pennsylvania native, is your winner by 0.2 of a second over Rick Thompson. Chris Carroll comes in 3rd. Brian Zimmerman's in 4th. Mark Arthur's in 5th. Then it's Kleinschmidt, Perkins, Lagoons, your last cars in the lap, and then Burton and Larry Bell, your top 10, Emmett.
Yeah, and then 11th's going to be Nicholas Moody in the 60. 12th's going to be Joey Neese in the 58. 13th is Jess Hadley. 14th is Fred Thompson. 15th is the 29 and Trevor Hardman. 16th is Austin Derbyshire. 17th, Cody Gibson. 18th, Tanner Marr. 19th, Mike Massagill. And 20th, Brian Dees.
And that is a look top to bottom at your Blazing Pedals ARCA League race results. Well, boy, oh boy, what a race it was. And you see the burnouts happening for the 10 car up there at the start-finish line, celebrating, having a good time. And in just a moment, we'll start our post-race show, and we'll get some words from our driver. Let's go ahead and start with the Pennsylvania native. Let's go ahead and see if we can get him up on the radio in here and get a word from our race winner. He told me he didn't win the Indy 500 this year. He said he won it a couple years ago, but he gets to go ahead and cap off the Indy 500 weekend with a win at Texas. Taylor, that's a hell of a drive.
Hey, Derrick, how you guys doing?
We're doing good, dude. We're great. We got to watch you and Rick Thompson battle for like the last 10 laps, and possibly one of the most epic, clean battles we've seen in a long time.
Yeah, that was some fantastic stuff. It's too bad for the 27, though. He definitely was a class of the field, but I guess he had a pit penalty, and it opened the door, and I knew Zimmerman undercut us a little bit, and I think Rick and I were kind of both better than him on old tires anyway, even without the tire advantage. But yeah, it was quite a few, not just even a few, like 10 or 12 laps side by side like that. That was amazing stuff. I hope it made for some good TV.
Well, it really did. It did. I typically would ask the question, how much gas you have left, but you had gas to do a burnout. You did a peel out. You did donuts to start finish line. So you had gas left. So I don't need to ask that. So let me ask this.
Right now I'm sitting at 1.2. So if we had a green white checker, it might have been a little iffy.
Might have been close. Well, the question I do have for you though, you made that pass on Rick on the bottom through the corners. Now, typically all night long, we saw the driver up top really have the advantage. What do you think kind of led to you making that pass on the bottom?
I guess just trying to roll the corner a little bit more. And I mean, I did a little bit myself early on in the race, passing guys up top, and felt like it was kind of burning the right front a little bit. And as you and I were talking pre-race about how tight it is in this car, especially the way I drive it. So I was just trying to be easy on the right front, and I guess I did okay there. I'm usually not, but I'll take it. I mean, I'm pretty excited. This is my first win in this league since 2021, so I'm pretty pumped.
And you did it on a night where the 2 points leaders aren't here, so that's got to feel even better, right?
Yeah, I mean, it would have been cool to race them, but I'll take them anywhere I can get it. I mean, the only dumb thing I did was give myself a 2x before all the cars crossed the line instead of I got too ambitious to do donuts.
That's okay. I think when you get your first win in that many years, you could be ambitious. Well, listen, I hope you have a great Memorial Day weekend. I hope you grill some good food or have some time with family. What's your favorite thing to put on the grill?
Oh, it's a good question. Probably, I don't know, some burgers here and there and some hot dogs here and there, and I just had my stepbrother's birthday the other day. We had some good BLTs, so might go that direction again. Of course, next week's, Indy 500, Coke 600. It's gonna be awesome next week, and hope you guys have a good weekend too, because it'll be some fun stuff upcoming.
I agree. Well, listen, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for the great race tonight, and we'll see you in 2 weeks at Rockingham.
Yeah, thank you. Woohoo!
That is a very excited Taylor Butcher Benjamin. He's had his first win about 3.5 years. That's got to feel good.
Yeah, it definitely feels good. But I tell you, he's got some. I wonder if seeing that helmet in your rear view just is some intimidating factor. Because
let's find out. Let's let you ask Rick Thompson. He finished P2, and you can ask him yourself.
Rick Thompson, congratulations on your second place finish. I want to ask you, when you saw that SpongeBob helmet in your rear view, did it give you a little nerves and a little intimidation?
I mean, honestly, like Taylor and I raced together for a long time. As you can probably see, we were too wide for a while there, going back and forth. It was just a heck of a race. I knew where he wanted to be. He knew where I wanted to be, and we were just trying to both give it all we got. I think I just hit the wall a little too many times and slowed down the car just enough that at the end he just had too much. I just couldn't keep up with him there.
Yeah, I also want to ask you. So we asked Taylor what his go-to barbecue food was to put on the grill. What is your go-to?
Oh, I mean, isn't like you got to go with the staples, right? You got to go with like cheeseburger, bacon cheeseburger, maybe.
Heck yeah, that's what I say. Yeah. Well, good luck, and we'll see you in 2 weeks at Rockingham.
All right, appreciate you guys. Thanks again for the broadcast. Hope it was entertaining for everybody.
It definitely was.
That's Rick Thompson finishing P2 on the night. We'll wrap up our post-race show by talking to the driver who finished in P3. I'm going to get him queued up here. That will be Chris Carroll. Chris, what a view you probably had for some of the battles happening ahead of you. Those guys were racing hard in front of you.
Yeah, I had him going into turn 3 when I was in the middle of the back, and I could see him slipping and sliding and getting into each other. And I didn't know who was who up there, but I knew it was a battle. I thought, well, if they get together, I might have a hope here, but didn't have enough car there.
So we saw you have some moments early in the race. We saw you lead some laps. We saw you fighting hard with Brian Zimmerman. Did the track change get to you? Was not able to maybe, find the speed, or what happened to the car?
Well, I mean, I felt good early. I felt good on the first long run. I didn't feel as good on the second long run. The other run there, me and Rick, I thought he slid up into me, but there was some netco that damaged my car. I had it really down the straightaways. It felt sluggy, but little push too. But did what he could. But I think the Hunter figured it out. I think we were all trying to figure out this car every week. A lot of us haven't driven it, and I think certain guys, Taylor did a good job, but I think Hunter figured it out quicker than anybody, and I think he was the class of the field without the speeding penalty there.
So
Yeah,
I want to
unfortunately,
tell
hard
you,
for him.
we got word that the pit lizards were over in Rick Thompson's pit box, and they were trying to calm them down, but they were hooping and hollering and causing all kinds of chaos. So, what's your word to the pit lizards out there?
Well, I don't control the pit lizards. They can do what they want. I don't tell them how to live their lives. If they want to cause some trouble, I can't help it.
All right. Well, Chris, of course, we're off next week, Memorial Day weekend, the trifecta of racing in real life, Monaco, Indy 500, Coke 600. But we talked about how it's a big grilling weekend, sort of the start of summer for a lot of people. What is Chris Carroll's go-to food to put on the grill?
Oh, it's got to be pork. Any type of pork, ribs. You got to do it. I don't know. Briskets would be nice. We don't have them up here in Canada, but it would be nice to get some of that going. But I have to say that for sure.
All right, Chris. Well, listen, great run tonight. Great job in P3, and we'll see you in 2 weeks at Rockingham.
Hey, thanks, Derrick, for the great interview, bud.
Thank you. That is Chris Carroll finishing P3 on the evening. Well, Emmett, that wraps up our post-race show. In Texas, everything's bigger in Texas. That included the excitement for the finish of this race.
Yeah, definitely a great finish. Man, what a great action all night long. I think if we would have had a caution, it would have been interesting to see if Hunter Lagoons could go up there and battle TBB for the win for sure.
Well, unfortunately, we'll never know. But 2 weeks from tonight, we have the off week for Memorial Week, and then we are at The Rock, Rockingham, one of the oldest and most classic tracks currently on the schedule for the Blazing Pedals ARCA League. Well, for Dustin and Ollis down in the booth, I am Derrick Watson, been joined tonight by Emmett Crow. I want to say once again, congrats to our winner, Taylor Butcher-Benjamin. And if you miss any part of this race, you can catch this race and every race from the Blazing Pedals ARCA League here on the Green Flag TV YouTube channel. Well, thanks so much for hanging out tonight. We're going to take you over to the finish and the conclusion of the ASRL race at Darlington. Thanks so much for hanging out. And one more time, congrats to TBB.